Hi, my name is Noelle, also known as Charge and Die. I am known for telling Scareactor Stories on TikTok and Instagram, and now on YouTube, I'm giving my friends, my fellow scare actors, chances to tell their own stories and get some other perspectives and experiences. So today, I have a special guest. My friend Shane is here. Shane, would you take it away?
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? How are you guys doing? Yeah, my name is Shane Cervantes. I am a character. I've worked in I've only actually done one haunt, which is Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios in Hollywood. But I've been there for 10 years. So I started back in 2010. Things were very different back then. So I have a bunch of interesting experiences through that. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's. I will say this, doing these haunts and everything, as fun as they are, and as tiring as they are, and as much stuff that you go through, like good and bad. The one thing I think everybody can relate to is the friends that you make. You know what I mean? The people that you make, the friends that you make. Maybe you work a haunt that's not like the best, but you come out of it with people that are very close to you and that become a family. You know what I mean? Which is something that's really cool. I have friends from my first year that I'm still friends with, and I work with them every year kind of thing. So it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
You get your close-knit friends from it for sure.
You do.
Yeah.
You
And
really do.
when I started, I was new to LA completely. Like, I didn't know anybody. The only
Oh,
guy I
wow.
knew was the guy that I moved
Fresh.
to LA with, and then I broke up with him, and then I knew nobody. So I
That
started
happens.
hanging out with my Scareactor friends from Halloween Horror Nights, and I was like, this
Right.
is awesome. I'm just going to stick with
Yeah.
this. You're my family now. I've adopted you. Haha.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, it's totally happens. But yeah, no. So I've done Universal Studios in Hollywood for 10 years. I primarily mostly do chainsaw. I'm a chainsaw performer. So,
Which is why,
uh,
honestly, I'm really happy to have you here because we haven't had a chainsaw on here yet.
oh,
Yes, we've had one stilt
really?
walker, but we haven't had a chainsaw, so I'm definitely going to pick your brain.
Ooh,
Also,
let's
especially
do it.
because I was hoping to do chainsaw this year, and then the mess happened, and now I can't.
Right,
So we'll
right. The
talk. We'll
mess,
talk quite a
exactly.
bit about chainsaw and what that entails.
Yeah, I
Um,
will. I will let you all know and ask any questions you want about that and those particular props and whatnot. Yeah, I've done. So out of the 10 years, I've done chainsaw for 8. And so the other two, my first year, I was in a maze. I was in the House of a Thousand Corpse maze back in 2010. The first time they did it, which was it was 3D, which was really cool.
ooh.
Um, that was interesting. And that was my first time ever experiencing a haunt. I remember coming to the audition. This is like way back, a little bit earlier on in my acting career. And kind of just, it's a job. As a performer and an actor, you go to audition after audition after audition after audition, and you come across certain jobs like haunts and maybe Christmas time, and theme parks are a great um, acting side job, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
for doing stuff that you are really striving to do. Maybe whether it's making your own content or getting an agent and getting out there and really auditioning for like the big stuff. Theme park is great for making a stable income and other stuff like that. So I went to the audition, and I remember walking in. I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I had gone to Horror Nights one time in 2006 as a guest when they brought it back, and it was like the evil director or something like that. Like that was the theme in
Oh.
2006. Yeah, and it
I
was like the
read
person
something
like,
like that. I didn't. I've actually only gone to Horror Nights once as a guest, and that was last year when I went through and recorded
oh,
everybody
oh
for
yeah, I
my
remember
vlog.
seeing you coming through.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like coming through as a vlogger. I never do that stuff, so I was very out of my comfort zone. I'm like going in alone to a
Sure.
haunt while recording stuff. I'm that guest. Sorry, guys.
Right.
But that was the only time
Hey,
I went. I had worked the event for 2 years and I never actually attended it. So I understand. But I did read back in 2006, like it's a director thing. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
It was cool. It was interesting. I remember I was in high school at the time. I was a senior year, senior in high school in 2006, and I remember seeing it, and because I love movies, I've always loved movies. I love horror movies too, and so I remember telling my best friend in high school, I'm like, "Yo, we got to go to Universal Studios because you get off the tram and you get to walk through the movie sets." Like that's what sold me, right? That the Terror Tram is what sold me on going to horror nights for the first time as a guest in 2006. And so I remember, and that's the only thing I remember. It's funny, I don't remember how many mazes they had. They probably had maybe like 3 mazes tops.
Yeah, they started
But
off
I
kind
remember
of
getting
small.
off the tram. Yeah, it was really small. I got off the tram and I'm in Whoville. I'm like, this is so cool. You know what I mean? You got to walk through Bates Motel, and you got to walk up by Psycho House, and then you get back on the tram. You know what I mean? And that was for me, that was really cool because I was like, dude, I just got to walk on these movie sets. You know what I mean? So that was my first time ever going to Universal, but as a guest. So then later on in life, I auditioned, and the audition was interesting. You know what I mean? If you've never auditioned for a horror,
It's different from every other
character,
acting kind of audition, yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah, it's really funny because when you're in the waiting room waiting to go in with your group, all you just hear is this crazy screaming, people running around. You're like, what's happening in that room? Like
It's
you
like
have
a
no
lot of
idea what's going on.
noise. Just
It's
noise.
just yeah,
Just
it's
muddled.
just noise. Exactly. It's just
All the
random.
noise. Sorry, I had to bring it back to
What's
Whoville.
going on? Oh yeah, exactly. Right.
All
Yeah,
the
Whoville. It always comes back to Whoville.
noise. Oh my
And
god.
so like yeah, and so I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. So I walk in, you walk in, usually stuff like this. It's there's a lot of people that audition. You probably have about 1,200 people that audition for this event. Tons of people. And so you walk in a group of like 30 people, and I didn't know what to expect. And we do the audition. At that time, my first audition, they had to step forward, scream as loud as you can, like your death scream kind of thing. Then they turned on music, and they're like, okay, find a character, be a monster, be a killer, make a choice, basically. Make a choice, be a werewolf,
A
whatever
predator
it
in
is.
some way. Yeah.
Yeah, a predator in some fashion. And you do that for like a minute, and you're doing it to like the music that they usually play in the theme park and stuff during horror nights. And so to kind of help you get in the character and be in the zone. And a big majority of that though is to kind of see like check your stamina in a lot of ways, because it's like, as you know, Noel, running around out there it's not easy, dude. And I think a lot of people underestimate that.
I gotta work out.
As guests, oh, dude, I'll be
Oh.
honest. Like right now, it's a bummer that we're not working in everything with the mess. But at the same time, there's a little part of me that's like, I'm so glad I'm not super sore right now, and my hands aren't dead, and I can move. I can get out of bed like a normal person in October, which is weird. This is the first Halloween that I've had in 10 years where I'm like, I don't know what to do because I'm always working.
Right.
You know what
That's
I
how I
mean?
was
It's
last year too. I was like, I took the year off because I wanted to like give my body time to rest and heal up from the year before. Because I did get a little hurt the year before, and I toughed it out for the season, but I needed time to like recoup. And
right.
like I said, I never attended the event, so I wanted a chance to attend it. And
Yeah.
I get an extra year off, so yay me.
There you go. Come back
But
double time next year.
I will say this, I'm kind of sad for many reasons why I'm not working this year, but one of the reasons is the Quarantine 15 is what I call it, where you're home, you're stuck, you're eating a lot, and then you gain some weight, you gain like 15
dude.
pounds. And I'm like, I wish I was scaring, because that would melt off within the first week, I swear.
Yes. Oh, dude, yes. You lose a lot of weight. It's constant cardio. It doesn't matter what role you have either. That's the other thing. I know a lot of people.
It does, and I'll say this, why it does. Because last
I think
year
so.
I was a wolf, right? So I was in a wolf stance,
Right.
and a wolf stance is a lot in the glute area because you're leaned
Yeah.
forward, but you're like bent at the knee, and you're like going like
Sure.
this a lot. Because I was walking like that so much, I swear I had buns of steel. I was like, oh my glutes. Versus like 2017 when I was at Grindstone, I wasn't moving. I was a kill. So I was sitting down at a grindstone going
Okay.
like this. So my core was really good, but my
Yeah.
glutes not so much. So you get different workouts for different things you do. But
correct.
You always get a workout. That I will say. Yes.
You do. You're right. I'll agree with you on that. It's definitely per role and job that you do, it will be a different workout. I
But it's
know.
always
I mean,
cardio. Yes.
yes, it is always cardio, and like because I've heard from people like I've never done a blackout role before. You know what I mean? But I've heard. And this isn't like a negative thing, but I've heard like some people like, oh, like, you know, we're just blackouts. But you know what, dude, blackouts are a major part of the scare and a part of the maze. And they're needed for a lot of the cool effects that you see in these mazes and stuff.
Those big
And
heads that they operate and just pop out at you.
right.
That's one of the
That's what I'm
trickiest things
saying.
for me. Yeah.
It looks so cool. And maybe you, if you get cast as something like that, maybe thinking like, well, I'm not like a big deal or whatever because I'm behind something and nobody can see me. Okay, fine, but you're still a vital role. You're still a vital piece of the puzzle into the overall machine of what they're trying to get across through this maze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the Alien versus Predator maze that we did that one year. Were you there? We did the Alien versus. See, after 10 years, it all kind of blends together in my mind.
Yes, I understand. My first year
like,
was
I don't
2017.
remember.
I moved to LA in 2017, so I don't know anything before that. Yeah.
I think it might have been either. I think it was either 2016 or 17. But we did Alien versus Predator maze, and I wasn't in it, but you know, I remember them talking about it and everything. And at the end of the maze, they had the giant queen, the alien queen, and this thing was massive. You walk into the final, like that's like the final scare, right? You walk in. This thing's huge. It's like 20 feet tall, 15, 20 feet tall, and it's towering. The arms are moving and the head's moving, right? Well, there's people back there moving these gigantic arms in this head. And it looks so cool. You're like, dang, man, like that thing's huge. You know? So like, yeah, even as a blackout scare, like you're a vital piece of the overall show, I guess you could say, for a haunt. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sure, people are probably going to have their favorite mazes and favorite scare zones and favorite characters and everything. But overall, like for me, like I love that maze. That was one of my favorite mazes because of that. I was like, that thing is sick, you know? So,
and if they do it well, like it leaves an impression. I did a YouTube video that's actually been getting a little bit of traction lately, and I'm really excited about that. But it's the 4 different ways to act for the different ways to act the 4 most common haunt characters or something like that. I forgot what I called it because I filmed it a little while ago, back in June. And one of the things I say is as a kill character was one of the, like a victim or kill. One of the pieces of advice I gave was know your place in the overall scare, because a lot of victims or kill characters, they might be newbies. Like the newbies tend to get cast as victims more than other roles unless they could prove like they either fit a different costume or they just look a part. But if you don't really fit a certain part but you are good and they want you but they haven't like learned to trust you yet, they might put you in a victim or kill character. And I've seen so many new scarers try and make it about them or like get down on themselves because they are not the scare. And I tell this story to them all the time where, yes, my first year at Halloween Horror Nights, I was a little ticked that they put me as a kill character because I told them I'd been scaring for years up in San Francisco, so I'm not new to it. But I get it. They need to learn to trust me a bit. So I took it and made it as gross as possible. Were you on Terror Tram in 2017, Shane?
I was not. I had done Terror Tram from 2011 until 2015.
Okay, I could have sworn you were one of the Chucky dolls, but I maybe think it's someone else. But
I was 2017. I was the pumpkin head running around upstairs.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, I was one of the pumpkin head dudes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Terror Tram's great, you know, and that's the thing, like, going along with what you're saying, they have to trust you. My very first year in 2010, I was a victim. I remember, like, I was trying to, in my audition, I remember I did the audition, and the casting director, I remember this, he came up to me, he pulled me aside from everybody in there, and was like, do you have chainsaw experience? And I had filled out the application and everything, and I'm like, and I put no on there. I don't know why he asked me, but he's like, do you have chainsaw experience? And I was like, no, I don't. Like, I mean, I've operated a chainsaw before, but like, I wasn't thinking in the terms of like, I thought he meant like in what they want,
right,
you know,
like
because I've seen
because you're not actually
like an entertainment,
through, right?
Right. Like I've cut like a tree down, or not like a whole tree, but I've cut like pieces of a tree in half, and cut it up into little pieces with a chainsaw. Like I've operated a chainsaw, but I thought he meant like in a performance aspect. So I said no. So I ended up being in House of a Thousand Corpses, which was great. It was a great maze, super fun. I remember this one time. So I was at the very end. If anybody knows the movie, Jerry, brain surgery Jerry, getting his head cut open by Dr. Satan at the end of the movie. That's who I was. So I was strapped in a chair and I had a Hudson, so I would squirt people with water as they walked by, and I was like the final scare kind of thing. That was tons of fun. Just squirting people with water all night was great.
Oh, the reactions.
It was, yeah, it was so funny because it was 3D. So people would be like, "Is he real?" Like they come up, "Is he real?" I can't tell if he's real. And as soon as they get close, I'd be like, "Bam!" right now, and it would just squirt them in the face. You know what I mean? It was like, "Oh shoot!" And they'd freak out. And I remember this one instance. This guy walks through, and I'm like, "Dude, this guy looks like the guy from Sin City, the guy with the glasses, Elijah Wood's character. Like, this guy looks like the guy from Sin City." And he came up close. He did the same thing. He's like, "Is he real? I can't tell." And he goes to like touch my leg because people would always kind of like touch me because they thought I was like a dummy, right?
Yeah.
And so he came up to like touch my leg, and as soon as he got close, I squirted him right in the face. And he left. Well, I found out later that it was Elijah Wood.
Oh my god!
And so I was like, no wonder he looked like the guy from Sin City because it was him.
It was him
because he had the glasses. He had the like his in that movie he has glasses, and he had the 3D glasses. I was like, hey, okay, go listen to the Sin City guy. So I squirted him in the face with the water, which was hilarious. But going to that, and so then the following year I came back and auditioned again because it was tons of fun, and the same thing happened. Casting director pulled me aside and was like, "Do you have chainsaw experience?" I was like, "Yes." I said yes this time because I was like, "You asked me again for the same." Okay, yes, I'm gonna say yes. So that year I got chainsaw. I became a chainsaw. So that was my first year doing chainsaw was 2011 on Terror Tram. And that whole thing, it's tough. The chainsaws are real. They're very real. They weigh 9 pounds. They're filled with gas. There's a lot of safety that goes into it that you need to learn. We have to do, even to this day, 10 years later, I still do chainsaw training. You still have to get signed off on it. You still have to do it. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. You still have to do it. Those things, you can seriously hurt somebody with those, if I'm being dead serious. And that's going back to what you were saying with the trust. They need to trust people with certain things like that. You know, people like that. And the same thing with the stilt walkers. They need to trust the stilt walkers and the performers that they're not going to step on somebody or they're not going to fall on somebody or anything like that, seriously injure somebody. Because unlike other characters walking around that maybe have a plastic or a rubber prop, the chainsaws are real. They take the rotator blade off. So like the rotation blade that like cuts through things gets taken off. But that metal piece in the center, that is still metal. That is still real. It is stuck on there. They're filled with gas. At the end of it, it gets hot. The exhaust on it gets extremely hot. Don't touch it. You know what I mean? Don't get too close to guests. Don't be walking around anybody smoking a cigarette because it's filled with gasoline. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind when you're operating those. And I don't think people realize that. I remember one time some guy was like, "Oh, those are fake. They're just plastic boxes with sounds in them." I'm like, "No, dude, this thing will hurt if I hit you with it. If I clip your ankle with this on accident, it's going to hurt, dude."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, because they are real, if you get too close to somebody with a scarf or somebody that has long hair, it can get sucked into the intake of it, into the saw. It can. You know what I mean? So
there's just so much more to it than I thought. Like when you mentioned the cigarette thing, I'm like, that makes sense, but I don't inherently think like that. And like with the long hair and scarf and stuff, it's like, that makes sense. Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you get too close, there's things that can happen. And these are the things that you learn in the training. You know what I mean? These are, so it's, and I know a lot of people tend to think like, well, I just want to do it. Like I can do that. It's like, you can. Anybody could do it. Anybody could do it. Of course they can. I'm not saying that anyone can't do it. But you need to be trained properly. You need to be signed off from the head ups and the management. And when we do those types of trainings every year, we're doing exercises. It's 6 hours long, and we're running around. We're doing push-ups. We're doing drills. We're running back and forth. We're putting people in different scenarios. And the vets, people that have been doing Saw for a long time, we watch the new people. It's like, okay, that was unsafe. And we let the captains know, and we let the other people know. It's like, all right, he's got to watch that. You know what I mean? He's got to keep the blade in and low. You got to keep it low. Don't bring it up over towards somebody's head. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And so when you see those performers running around the streets and not hitting anybody, you know what I mean? It's impressive. There's definitely times where I was like, how did I not hit that person? You know what I mean? Like, thank goodness, you know, but I mean, it's like, well, I can't even believe I didn't hit that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you have to take into account that you're wearing a mask and your vision is obscured. So your peripheral is gone. You know what I mean? You have no peripheral. You have a real chainsaw. Don't hit anybody. You have how many people walking through? 22,000 people maybe coming through the entrance of the park. Don't hit anybody. You know what I mean? And then also you have the flashing lights. You have the sounds. You know what I mean? Like the music
fog.
playing. You have the fog. Yes, the fog. There's so many. And if you're on Terror Tram, that's a whole nother animal. You know what I mean? Terror Tram is hills and dirt. It's gravel. It's not a flat surface like it is up on the streets, up in like Scare Zone 1 and different things.
And you have no cameras.
Hills. You have, yeah.
No security cameras is what I mean.
Yo, Terror Tram is a whole different animal. Let me tell you, I've fallen so many times back there, like running around because it's gravel, it's dirt, and so you just slip. I remember one time, I was just going after somebody, and this, granted, I will say this. Now there's a lot of new rules and stuff. Back in the day when I first kind of started doing it, you could kind of run and chase people. Now you can't really do that, you know. But back then it was a little bit more. There's a little bit more leeway. Yeah, I was chasing somebody. I was chasing this guy down. He was scared, and I lost it. I slipped. I fell. You know what I mean? Like, and I was so embarrassed. I just like got up and like ran away. You know what I mean? It's just like it's embarrassing, you know, as a performer like that. But then you're like, oh, they can't see my face anyway because I have a mask on. But like in your head, you know, and things happen, so you got to be aware. You got to be safe. You know what I mean? So yeah, chainsaws. It's fun, and you know, once everything comes back, you should definitely put it down. Come do Chainsaw Noel.
I just remember a couple of my friends. I don't know if you know Chris Hicks, but he was the first one I interviewed before the mess happened. So he was like physically here at my apartment, and I interviewed him. I know Chris. Yeah. Yeah. So I asked him, like, could you imagine me with a chainsaw? And he's like, oh my God, that's so scary to think about. Like, with a chainsaw, that's all we need. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I come across as like this happy-go-lucky girl, but like if you tick me off, oh my God, put a chainsaw in my hand, you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're real. Like I said, a lot of people think they're not real. They're real, dude. They're very real.
And everyone assumes that they're all men. Like there is this like kind of sexist aspect to it, because I know Diamond and Erica, they've gotten it a couple times where someone was recording and then they were like, oh, that's totally a guy, and then Star was like, I just remember this one in particular, and Star was like, no, that's a girl, I know her, like that's a girl, and he's like, oh yeah. no, oh, okay, cool, yeah, no, go her.
Yeah. Like, unfortunately you're right, it is a sexist type of thing, that it is assumed that it is all men, but it's not. I can vouch for that.
There's some really definitely like badass girls there, and I want to be one of them. So
lots of badass girls. Absolutely. Anybody can do it. Honestly, yay. Like I've seen some people come in that are like really skinny and they're not very like big. You know, if you can. Here's the thing. You have to understand that like they are heavy. They're 9 pounds. So you figure a 45-minute set carrying around 9 pounds. That's gonna get heavy, dude. And on top of it, you're starting it and stopping it constantly. So you're constantly starting it, and you there's a certain technique and way to start it without throwing your arm out. Mm-hmm. Because if you try to start it like a normal chainsaw, over and over again for 8 hours, every other 45 minutes, after one night, dude, your arm is going to be dead. It's going to be dead. So there's technique again that we teach you in the chainsaw training where that's not going to happen. You know, you're going to get tired 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to take that into account. So if you can do it, you know, great. And a lot of people work up to it. I remember my first year as a chainsaw. That was so hard because back then it was very different than what it is now. They treated it as very militant, like military style, like for the training.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember during the training, everybody, like, we had to do, I think it was like 50 push-ups or something like that, and we all had to start it at the exact same time. And if they all didn't start, then we'd have to do another 50 push-ups kind of thing. Like, it was all very militant in unison, and they were trying to build you up to physically be able to do this. And then after that, we would have to march around Waterworld, the Waterworld stage, holding these chainsaws, these 9 pounds, up in the, back then we could put them up in the air, hold them up in the air, and just march around Waterworld like 5 times, just march. It got tiring, dude. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. You know what I mean? Like, I second guessed myself for sure. I was like, this is like way harder than I thought it was going to be. But you build up a tolerance to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the event, it was like as painful as it was. Because with that, these vibrate. So you have to wear special vibration gloves. You can't just wear any gloves. They're vibration resistant gloves. So when you're walking around, you're turning it on. After a while, like after like the first couple weeks, there's times where I'll wake up in the middle of the night and my whole hand is numb and I can't move it. It goes from your fingertips all the way up to your like your shoulder. All of your nerves are like vibrating, and it's not fun. Like, that part's not fun, but that's a part of the job. You know what I mean? You get what's called saw claw. So like your hand kind of just gets stuck for a while. It just gets stuck like that, kind of like trigger finger, but like because you're walking around holding a saw all night.
If you're gripping that prop so much, it's hard to open your hand again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, like I said, anybody could do it, you know, just you be aware that it will physically take a toll on your body for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
more so than just regular scaring.
Yeah.
Because no matter where you are, you're going to take a toll physically.
Right. You really will. Like I said, even blackouts, like you're pushing something in and out all the time, constantly. Like, it's going to take a toll on your body in some fashion.
Repetitive motion injury. It's a lot of repetitive motion injury. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. And that's another thing too. I think a lot of people think, you know, from like a performer's perspective, I think a lot of people tend to think, oh, chainsaws have an easy scare. Okay. I see what you're saying. But you have to also take into account that if somebody's in a maze and you have a trigger, it's kind of the same thing. The only difference is I'm mobile and I can walk around with my trigger. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just stationed in a corner and hitting a trigger and then popping out with a loud noise and a flash. Yeah. I get to move around freely with my trigger. And that's one thing that a lot of new saws do is they will constantly have their saw on. After a while, you get to a point where like those saw will run out of gas after like their first set. You know what I mean? So they got to go back and refill it. And so once you're done, you go put it back. The techs will refill the saw, and when you go back out, you'll have your saw that's refilled with gas again. But you know, for somebody that's a little bit more experienced, I can go out on set and I only have to turn my saw on if I don't want to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I can maybe turn it on like 2 times in 45 minutes because you still have to utilize different scare tactics. You know what I mean? You're still utilizing a pop out or a stalking scare or, you know, a distraction scare. You're utilizing the crowd and using them as walls in a way. You know what I mean? So I don't have to turn it on. I don't have to constantly have it on. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that, you know, you learn to do over the years of doing that, is to learn how to scare without using the chainsaw all the time. You know what I mean? And team scaring too. Yeah. Teaming up with a werewolf or something. I don't have to turn my saw on. You know what I mean? Teaming up with a stilt walker. You know what I mean? I could sit there and stare at a guest and they think I'm going to turn the saw on, but they don't realize that there's a 8-foot tall, 4-legged stilt walker coming up behind them. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, there's lots of different ways.
Yeah. Oh, I love the team scares, especially the ones you don't really plan. Like, there's nothing assumed ahead of time. You've never scared with this person before, but you just like get each other and then you tag team and then you like drop the person and you're like,
yep.
High five,
Tag teaming is great. See,
Oh.
I love being the distraction because I like to see, like if me and you were tag teaming somebody, I want to be the distraction because I want to see you come up. I like to see the reaction of the guest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like to see it happen. I'm like, oh, that's what you get. You know what I mean?
It definitely depends on what character you have. Because me, I was the big wolf in 2018. So the half transformed wolves, if they were getting harassed or something, and I noticed, they would distract the person. I would just walk up behind them, have them turn around, see me, and just look into the mouth of the wolf, the full transformed wolf, and then freak out. So it's like, yeah, that was kind of my role, is like, surprise, there are other wolves out here.
Exactly.
The only way I could be a distraction was if I did team up with a chainsaw, because we had this understood hierarchy that the zombie kids were afraid of the wolves who were afraid of chainsaw.
That's right. I remember that. You guys had like a full-on like story outline and everything that year. It was really cool.
It wasn't so much a story, but it did come in handy a lot just to understand everyone's place.
Right.
Because,
well, I guess you guys had backstory, I should say.
Well, I mean, if you watched the movie, like we were the trick or treat scare zone. So if you saw trick or treat, you would understand the context of the kids because they're not.
Right.
Like, I say this, they're mentally challenged children in the movie, and then they end up dying and coming back as zombies. So there are the zombie kids, and I thought that was brilliant of, like, how do you scare as a mentally challenged, innocent child? You know, that's not a scary thing. So how do you turn that into scares, especially in a scare zone where you're not popping out and you don't have a hidey hole or a trigger like what you were saying? How do you do that? And they would do some brilliant things where they would all of them had this understood thing where if someone drops anything, and it was usually popcorn, if someone spills something, they would just surround it and start screaming at it.
Yeah.
And because all the zombie kids were on board doing this, it freaked out the guests because they were like, is this some ritual or something? Like, is it something I don't understand? And
it's like the unknown.
Yeah, exactly. It's the unknown. And then sometimes they would like reach out in front of someone's face and be like, what was that? You know, and it's like, oh, you jump scared because you did that in front of their face, but then like you're still an innocent child. Like, where'd it go? And it was but there was this one awkward encounter, and I've said this is one of my story times. So if anyone's heard this already, I apologize. I also have a YouTube video on it. It's just so funny to me where Scare Zone Rob, you know Scare Zone Rob.
Yeah. Funny story. I don't mean to interrupt you, but he was my Dr. Satan in 2010.
Oh, no way!
Me and him were in the same room.
Rob gets around. So, he's great.
Yep,
I love him.
Rob. Yep. It's funny.
Maybe I'll have him on here one day if he ever messages me back. Oh, well. I love Rob so much. But there was this one time where we had this improv scene, and it turned so wrong and so awkward because it was so slow of a day. And it was me and Rob out there with a bunch of other people, but like I turned and there he was, and he both of us understanding the hierarchy of like zombie kids are afraid of wolves, he started the improv of going, whoa, and then running away. And I'm like, oh, he wants me to chase him. Okay. So I started chasing him through the zones, and we were like ducking and weaving around people. That would just kind of scare people in of itself. It's like, what's happening? What's happening? He hides behind a chainsaw who was pool that day, so I don't think she understood the hierarchy. So he hides behind her, and I'm like clearly trying to get to him. And instead of starting the chainsaw and scaring me off, which is how we wanted to end the improv, and just let me leave him alone, she just waves at me and then walks away.
Yeah.
And then Rob and I have this moment of like reading each other's minds of, what do we do now? Because like, I'm supposed to be grabbing and eating you right now, and you have nowhere to run or hide. What do we do? So he took that, and he finds one of those potted plants, those like ferns with the really thin leaves. He like, he hides behind one of those plants and takes like 3 of those leaves and hides behind them. Not well at all. You could still see everything. Like it's just like 3 little leaves. But I took that. I was like, where did he go? He just left.
Well, and that's a great story because that's something I think it's hilarious because there's definitely times where you're going to get guests that aren't going to be scared. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of the beast. You know, you're going to get the guys walking in. They're like, I'm tough. You know what I mean? I'm gonna look out after my girlfriend, and I'm going to be the tough guy, right? And that's probably a defense for them because they are scared, but they're going to act like that. And for me, like you guys had you created a moment, and even though you may not be like scaring somebody necessarily, maybe you created an entertainment environment for people. Because I guarantee there's people watching you. Like, what's happening?
There were people,
you know what I mean?
hysterically
What's going
laughing.
on?
It was great. Yeah,
exactly.
We're
and if you can't
entertainers
scare
ultimately.
them,
Yeah.
exactly. If you
We're
can't
scares,
scare them,
but-
make them laugh. Make them laugh. If you can't scare them, make them laugh. And I do that. I do that. If I see someone like that guy that I've been watching, because I mean, like out on streets, you see people coming way before they see you. You know what I mean? And you can kind of tell, like, oh, that person's kind of being, that guy. I'm not gonna go over there. Okay, and that person's kind of, okay, I can probably get them. That might be an easy scare. You know what I mean? And then you come across a group of like, okay, I might not be able to like scare these people, but I'll make them laugh. Maybe I'll do something funny and improvise, and then like walk away or something. You know what I mean? So it's cool that you created a moment, and you created a little scenario, and that's the other thing. You can't talk on set. So like that
not
girl,
at
she didn't know what was
Universal.
happening.
Other hunts,
not at
you
Universal,
can talk, but Universal, we're not allowed to talk. So it's like an extra challenge. Yeah.
Right, it is. And so it's like you can't talk. So when you once you get to that place and that point in the event, when you're like a month in, 4 or 5 weeks into the event, you start to like read other performers' minds without even saying anything. You kind of look at each other and like, oh, I see what you're doing. Oh, okay, I got you. You know what I mean? Like you kind of figure it out. It's all improv, but like without talking. It's like silent improv. You know what I mean? It's really cool.
Just read my eyes. I'll give you more code with my blinking. Like
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically. It pretty much is. Was there any questions that we wanted to?
Yeah, let's go through the questions because we wanted to talk about the makeup before, right? So have you ever had makeup bother you?
Yeah. So in 2013, so my first year, 2010, I was in House of Thousand Corpse Maze as brain surgeon Jerry. And I didn't have a whole lot of makeup. It was mostly blood, but I had like a wig, a skull cap wig with like my brain sticking out. That wasn't that bad. 2011, I was Chainsaw Band Geek. 2012 was when Walking Dead started to get big. And so we started to have a lot of walkers. And at that time, we had a lot of prosthetic makeup for the walkers for Walking Dead. And Terror Tram was basically taken over by The Walking Dead on that year. And so that year I was a Chainsaw. But 2013, I didn't do Chainsaw. I was a walker. So they were trying to do something different, and because I'm on the shorter side, I'm like 5'7", which I guess I'm average, I guess. But they wanted like really tall chainsaws that year because I think that was the year. Was it Terminus? I can't remember. But they wanted really big chainsaws that year. So there's a lot of like really tall people, which is like, okay, I get it. I understand. You know what I mean? Like they wanted like big dudes. So I ended up being a walker. And I was cool with it. I was like, that's fine. I'll be a walker. And I had a full face prosthetic. So the prosthetic was literally from my forehead all the way down my face. It was all one piece, all the way down. The whole thing. It was one piece. And it probably took about 45 minutes to do the prosthetic and the makeup and everything. So I'm sitting in the chair for 45 minutes. I remember one time I came in, I was super tired. At that time, that year, I think my call time was like 2:30 p.m. or something.
Wow, that's early. Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, this was a different time. Yeah. This was like back then they didn't really care about that stuff, and so yeah, it was like a 2:30 call time, and I would get done with like makeup and everything at like probably like 3:30, or I mean not 3:30, like 3-ish, a little past like 3:15-ish, because it take about 45 minutes. And I remember it was a whole weekend. And I was tired, and I literally fell asleep in the makeup chair. And I remember she just woke me up. She's like, "You're done." I was like, oh, dang, I'm done. Okay. And yeah, it took a while. It's
like you're at a spa, only you wake up feeling grosser.
Gross, exactly. Blood everywhere.
Oh, look. You added 50 years. Thanks.
Right, exactly. I'm dead. How long was I asleep for? I'm dead. So.
How's
Um,
my paycheck? I've been paying this whole time, right?
yeah, exactly. Did I get any jury duty when I was out? So like I I was not a fan of that. I can do prosthetics. I don't mind doing prosthetic makeup. But the full face prosthetic was
Might as well
just
just do
so.
a mask, you know? Put it
I
on, be
yeah.
done.
I mean, it looked great. It looked really cool. But it was just like I couldn't eat. So that's the thing. I get there at 2:30, and so by like 3:15, I'm in a full face prosthetic, and we don't start until like 7. So from like 3 to 7, I'm just walking around like a walker, like with a full face prosthetic. So we go into like the take 5 or like the eating area,
Mm-hmm.
to get food and dinner before we start. And like, I can't eat. I'm having to like pull my fake lips open, like to like put food in. Food's getting stuck on the inside. I'm like, this
Oh,
little piece of chicken is just gonna be stuck here for like 12 hours.
ew.
You know what I mean? It's just really uncomfortable. And drinking, I had everything I drank. I had to drink with a straw. It got to a point where I was finally just like, you know what? I'm gonna try to eat before, you know what I mean? Because it just was uncomfortable. But then in the middle of the night, like in the middle of work, I would try to just stick with like simple things like a protein bar or something small that I could just like kind of put in there instead of
Yeah.
something messy like spaghetti or something. Because
You gotta plan your meals ahead of time for sure. If you're,
yes,
it's like, okay, I'm gonna be in a mask or I'm gonna be in makeup at this point, so
right. Right,
yeah.
exactly. At least with the mask, you can take it off. But like prosthetic, that thing is glued to your face. It's surgically glued to your face.
Yeah, it's
So
not budging for the whole time
no,
until
it's not coming. And
they have the soluble to take it off.
it
Um,
feels so good to take off. It
it
feels
feels so
so good to
creepy.
take it off. Oh my gosh, because you can't just because I remember I made the mistake. I had started to kind of peel it off one time. It was like I just wanted this thing off my face. You know what I mean? Yo, it hurts. It hurts. It will rip your skin off. It will physically peel and pull your own skin off your face or wherever it's at. So they have to use like a special oil, and they literally just like oil. They just pour oil. So when you go back in at the end of the night, you're exhausted. You've just done like 12 hours of work. You're tired. You're dirty. You're smelly, and their makeup artists just pour oil at the top and they literally just etch it off your face slowly and slowly and slowly.
Mhm.
When that thing comes off your face, it's like, oh, it's so like refreshing and free. You know what I mean? It just
Oh
feels
yeah.
so good. But it's fun. It's cool. It looks great. It's not
Has makeup ever
comfortable.
like burned you or like ever had like a bad reaction to it?
No,
Well, that's
I've
good.
never had a reaction. Yeah, luckily I have never had a reaction to prosthetics or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's always good to test first. If you were thinking of having like certain makeup on you or you've never worn a prosthetic before and you don't know
yeah,
if you're
like
allergic.
latex.
Yeah, if you don't know if you're allergic to latex or not, definitely do a little test first and make
Yeah,
sure because they use a lot of latex for the prosthetics and the masks and everything.
yeah,
And that is one of the questions that we have to fill out whenever we audition is do you have a latex allergy? Like that's how important that
yep.
is. But with makeup, like it's different per person, so it's always good to do a
It
little
really
test.
is.
But they use pretty standard, like good quality makeup, at least for the haunt that we work at.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Universal's all unionized makeup artists, so it's like
they're very
they're
talented. They're good.
professional. Yeah,
Hmm.
super
And if you
professional
ever have a
makeup artists.
problem, just bring it up to them and say like, "Hey, this blood kind of burns a little bit." And I don't mean like, "Oh, I don't know if you had the blood for 2017."
Oh, was it Fleet Street? Was it Fleet Street
I
Blood?
don't remember what the brand was, but nothing could take that ish off. It was so bad.
It
And
sounds like it was Fleet Street.
probably because like I would just have it on my hands. They required me to have it on my hands, but I was like, no, I'm gonna use an excuse so I could wear gloves the whole time. So yeah, I got out
Right,
of it, but not many people could. So I got
right.
really lucky. But the few times I had the blood on my hands, you had to like soak it in a very specific blend of like this oil water soluble
Yep,
mixture, soak it
yep,
for like 20 minutes and then maybe get some of it off, but
yep.
my hands were so raw after getting that blood
Yeah.
off and when it was put on there was a little bit of burning because it is alcohol based. So
Yes,
just
yes, it is.
know the difference of it burning because it's affecting you in a very negative way, like if you're allergic
Right.
to it or something, versus is there alcohol in this? Because it's gonna burn a little bit, but once it dries, you're good. Like,
Yeah.
just know
It
the difference
initially
of that.
hurts. or not hurts. It
It kind
initially
of
get the
burns.
alcohol,
Yeah.
especially around your eyes. Like it'll get in your eyes. You're like, oh, my eyes are watery. Like my first year as brain surgery Jerry, I had a lot of blood, a lot of blood. I had to go to the at that time we had a blood area where we had a makeup artist. She was just a blood girl, and it was just
Blood
an area just
transfusions.
tarped. Basically, she just had buckets of Fleet Street blood, and it's like 99% alcohol, so this stuff just sticks on you. And you just go there like, all right, who's next? And I'm just standing there, and she's just like all over my face, all over my arms. You just kind of stand out there, go stand in front of a big fan. You're just kind of chilling, and it kind of burns, like because there's so much alcohol in it, and that's going to stick. It goes away after a few minutes,
Clears
but
the
like
sinuses,
like,
you know.
oh my gosh, dude! Like, yeah, exactly,
Just kind of
exactly.
hang in there. But yeah,
It
that's
clears the
makeup.
sinuses for sure.
Oh
Yeah, makeup's interesting.
Makeup, it's different per person, so just be careful and test it out. But overall, like, prosthetics are fine. Just be careful wearing them so that you don't accidentally have it like fall off, or if
Yeah.
you could eat in it and all that stuff. I like prosthetics. It really depends on who puts it on. If it's weirdly placed on my face and like causing me to go like this or something,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or if it's like near the mouth and it's like feeling kind of crusty around the mouth. I don't know, but I would rather be able to see personally, because
Yeah.
the 2 years at Halloween Horror Nights, I wore masks and I could not see a gosh
You
darn
could.
thing.
Well, that werewolf mask, that whole outfit was insane. So
I said this in my last interview, but I think you might enjoy this fact. So Mackenzie and I, the other werewolf and I, the full transformed one.
yeah, I remember Kenzie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when guests ticked us off, you knew our eyes were in the mouth, right? So you could
Yes,
see
yeah.
you could see our human eyes in the mouth if we're not looking down like this and having the wolf look at you. Like, we can look at you with the mouth instead. If
Mm-hmm.
someone ticked us off, we would follow them through the zone at the same pace they are walking right next to them and just stare at them with our human eyes the whole way down. And it would really, like, at first they would think it's a joke or something until we were like,
No, dude, I'm
we're
watching.
mad at you.
I'm watching you. Security.
Security.
This guy right here. Yeah,
To
exactly.
answer Caleb, no, you did not miss Shadow. He is up next. We got about 10 more minutes until his time, just so you know. Let's see. How to play a psychotic clown and how to stay in character when a guest ticks you off.
That's hard. You have it's hard. It's hard because you really want to just like drop character and just be like, "What's your problem, man? Like, what did you pay all this money to come in here for?" You know what I mean? It's like you want to do that. You really
It's so
do.
hard
And
to let
you,
those
you
things
have
go. You
to-
just go backstage and you vent with all your fellow characters. You're like, this
Oh, absolutely,
jerk.
dude. I've definitely walked backstage and like punched a few things. If I'm being completely serious,
You gotta get
because
the
I'm so
energy out.
pissed. I'm so mad, and I'm like, it's just you have to compose yourself. There's a lot of you got to have patience and just understand that you're gonna unfortunately run across those guests that they probably are drunk. They've probably drank or maybe have done drugs before coming in, and that's something you can't really help. Unfortunately, you don't know. And so you just got to deal with it as it happens. And there's security out there, and there's people watching you, even if it's another character. I've had numerous situations where people have tried to fight me, and back in the day, it wasn't as strict as it is now. Especially on like Terror Tram, like there was definitely altercations that had happened. And you have to understand that like even your fellow characters are on your side and they're there for you. You know what I mean? You have to have each other's backs in situations like that. So I'd say like the best advice is to just keep your composure. Just walk away, dude. You know what I mean? Just walk away. Go find security or whoever's there. However the venue is set up. You know what I mean? But just walk away. Like that's all you can do in situations like that.
Yeah, that's the best advice. Is if you can't stay in character and hold your composure, the best thing you can do is walk away from the situation. Just walk away.
Just walk away. Just forget it, man. But I get it.
If you need to call your set a little early just because and tell your supervisor about it, just do that. Because I've definitely done that before where I've come off set sobbing before, and no one can tell in the mask, but I was like full on sobbing, and I take my mask off and I just tell my supervisor, I need a minute. And he's like, Okay, yeah, take your minute.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
As far as yeah, exactly. As far as the crazy psychotic clown, I guess that's the one thing I can say about like a job like this as a performer is that the possibilities are endless. You have so much freedom to kind of. I mean, obviously, if you're doing like, if you're in like a Stranger Things maze and you're a face character for like, if you're a lookalike character, like you have
act like the character.
Yeah, you have a little bit more restriction, but like for a crazy psychotic clown or something like that, like something original, like you create it. That's what's so fun. It's like getting like in 2017, those weird voodoo doll character things. Like I didn't even know. Nobody knew what those were. Nobody knew what those were.
Even John Murray didn't really know what they were.
I know. He didn't even say, I don't even know what these are. I'm like,
like orientation.
You created.
Aren't they creepy? I don't know what they are. They're like voodoo dolls or something. I don't know. You guys figure it out. And everyone was just like, so we're dolls, right? We just walk like this.
Yeah, we have no idea what we are. And it's funny because the creative director didn't even know what they were. He was like, they're really cool. I like them. They're freaky. All right. Well, but that's cool though because it gives you the freedom to kind of create your own character.
Right.
It gives you the freedom to create your own style, your own walk, your own maybe laugh or sound, and yeah, you get to create an original character in a sense.
And your own motivation. I always say this. Yeah. Motivation is the biggest thing because you got to understand why you're doing the thing, why you're going after the guests and scaring them to begin with. Like, do you intend to eat them? Do you just want to play with them? Like, what's your motivation there?
Right.
And also, how to stop yourself from actually doing those things to the guests. Like, what's your motivation to stop yourself? So,
exactly.
Yeah, to play psychotic clown. Psychotic clown tells me erotic behavior, a lot of switching of emotions and speed and tempo, like I say in my YouTube video about clown stuff, but how to stay in character. Same way you stay in character at any point is just make sure that you know your character inside and out. If it's something that you're making up, then you have the creative freedom, like what Shane said.
Right.
But make sure to hit all the points of like, who are you? Why are you here? What's your motivation?
Right.
And then that will also give you, and the guests don't need to know your backstory. You're not going to run up to a guest and be like, hi, my name is Crazy Susie and I'm crazy because of this. Like, you're not going to be yelling that at guests, but it helps you with your improv. So if someone say part of your character is like, I got daddy issues or something, like it's totally valid in a character, right? Like, I'm this way because of daddy issues, and someone tries to be flirty, it's like, call me daddy, and then you start sobbing hysterically. That's gonna scare the guests because that's not a proper reaction, but you're in character.
Right, exactly.
That is in tune with your character, and then you just go like, Dad, I haven't seen you in forever, and that is just gonna cause like kind of creepy but like funny comedic moment too, but you're absolutely in character for it. So it helps with improv for sure. And
improv is huge. Improv is huge. Just stay away from the dogs. Service. That I'll say this. This will probably be my last story, I guess, for time. But in 2015, I had a situation that completely changed. I put my staple on Horror Nights from 2015. It was during Chainsaw Brigade at the end of the night. And we had all the upper management, all the show quality, everybody up there. You know who I'm talking about. Standing right by me in formation on Brigade. And Brigade, if you don't know what it is, or chainsaw chase out, it's at the end of the night, all the chainsaws, not all of them, like probably like the top like 20 of them. It's an inside audition. That's another thing. That's an inside audition at training. So to be on that, you have to audition again. And then, but it's kind of like a little show. So people have to exit and walk out to leave the park at the end of the night. They have to get through all of us. And it's, there's little cues and everything with like music and everything.
I recorded a bit in my vlog from last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So
okay, cool.
So if any of you watching this live right now doesn't know what he's talking about when he says Chainsaw Brigade, the last chase out of the night, I did record a bit of it for my vlog last year where I'm wearing the red wig and it's like Scareactor goes to Halloween Horror Nights as a guest or whatever.
Oh, nice.
So if you watch that video, there's a little blurb of it at the end.
Yeah.
So you'll get more context of what he's talking about, like a visual. Right. Sorry, continue. I just wanted to plug that real quick.
Perfect. Plug it. Yeah, go check it out then on her blog and you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm in my position And you know how they say, scare the chair, right?
Mm.
People, if people come in wheelchairs, scare them too because they want the same experience. Totally
Mm.
get it. And of course,
Scare the chair.
2015, this was purge year. So I had a purge mask. It was a preppy purge. And this was back when we could scrape too. So we could scrape the ground and make sparks shoot up and fly out everywhere. And it looks really cool. And this everybody still gives me a hard time about this at Universal. Everybody, because they know it was me. It was a big deal. It was a big thing. And this lady's coming down in a wheelchair, and she had like lights and Christmas lights on her wheelchair, and it was all festive and everything for Halloween. And we get the cue to start, and I go, and I see her, and I'm like, I'm gonna get her. So I run up alongside her, and I just scrape the whole side, not her wheelchair, but like on the ground, like on by the side of her wheelchair to like, give her a little show and to scare her. Well, I didn't see that there was a black lab behind her, behind the wheelchair, and he was on a leash, and he was behind it. And as soon as I lit up with the sparks, it got brighter because it's dark too, and we had fog and it's stroby and everything. And I have a mask on, and I didn't see, and it was a black lab. I was like, I did not see that thing at all. And this thing I thought it killed it. Like he was just like, you know how like dogs freak out on leashes, and like, he was just going AWOL. Like I felt so bad. My girlfriend at the time was there, my best friend, all of management right there, and I dropped character. As soon as I realized what happened, I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no. And everyone's like, why did you scare the dog? I was like, I didn't see him. I felt so bad for the rest of the night. The lady was extremely mad. I mean, she had every right to be mad. I'm like,
understandable, but it was a mistake. You didn't see
it was
the
a mistake.
dog.
But I did it, but I couldn't say that to her. Like,
right?
I couldn't speak. Yeah. And everything going on, the commotion of everything. And I was like, oh, so I just walked away. I'm walking away. At the end of brigade, the higher ups are like, whoever scared that dog, come talk to me. And I was like, oh no, because they saw it.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. I walked up. I was like, that was me. I was like, I did not see that. I did not see him. And they forgave me and everything. They understood the situation and they talked to her and everything got sorted out. But everybody remembers like Shane scares dogs. And after that night, to this day, that was 2015. Everybody still gives me a hard time about it. They're like, "You're scaring dogs, Shane." Ugh. And so, like, they created these signs, and it says "Stop service dog coming through." So now, every time a service dog comes through a maze, they have to walk in front of it with a sign that says "Don't scare the dog." Don't let the performers know. Because I have one of the signs.
No, that's good because they don't to tell people that. Like, I know not to scare a service dog because, like, you're not supposed to pet a service dog. It is there for doing a job.
Yeah,
don't scare the dog. That's a cheap thing.
And they bring them to events like this, but as a performer, you got to know, like, if you see it, don't go near it. And that was just a way to, like, because again, like I said, I didn't see that thing.
Right. And a lot of people can't see, especially when you're in a maze and you're in a pop out. You don't know what you're popping out at, But there are a lot of like new people who don't get told don't scare the dog, and they'll think like, oh, it's gonna be so funny because it's an easy scare.
No.
Same with babies. Like people always go for the babies, and I'm like, I'd rather go for the adults that are dragging a baby through a very traumatic experience for it. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and that's the thing. As a parent, you got to research your stuff. What you're bringing your kids to. I mean, I had a situation like that too with a chainsaw. I went up and I scared this lady. I thought she had a backpack. Like sometimes people put their backpack in the front.
Yeah.
Right. Like like I don't know. It's easy access or something.
Easy access and also gives a little relief to the shoulders, I guess. Yeah.
I thought it was a backpack, and I came up again. This was years ago. This was years ago when things were a little bit looser. There's a technique that you can't do it now, but back then we could. You flip the saw up, and the outtake of the saw will blow hot air out, and so you usually like you flip it upside down. You can blow like hot air up somebody's hair, like in the back, so they're like, oh, they could feel it. They don't know what it is. Yeah. So I kind of did that, like kind of off to the side to this lady, like on the side of her face, but it was a baby in the front. She was carrying a little baby, and I totally blew hot air into this baby's face. I'm like, I didn't see that was a baby, dude. Like,
don't bring babies to hunts.
Why are you bringing your baby to this thing?
Hire a babysitter. Come on.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, I get it, but like, if you can't afford a babysitter, then you don't go. As a parent, I think you should know. You know what I mean? Because
babysitter
I feel bad.
Or ticket to haunt.
Right. And we feel bad as performers. Like, I felt horrible about that.
Well,
And at that point,
most
I
people
did
feel
break.
bad. There are quite a few people that don't feel bad at all because they're
I'm
like, it's
like,
their fault for bringing the baby.
sure, but it's a
But it's
baby.
a
You know what I mean?
baby. The
If
baby
it's like a
didn't mean to.
7-year-old, yeah, he doesn't
Oh
want to be there. He doesn't
no.
even know when he has to go to the bathroom. He's just like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to be at a haunt. He
He
doesn't
doesn't
want
know
to be
what's
at a
going on.
haunt.
It's just like he's gonna have nightmares forever. And so
Yeah,
I
he
always
doesn't know
say,
what's going on.
I always say to them about haunts, like bring babies to haunts. I'm like, would you rather afford a babysitter for a night or therapy for years?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Just
And
saying,
there's
because
tons
we
of
will
videos out
absolutely
there.
traumatize your child.
And
And there are
I'll
people
be
that
honest.
are ruthless. Like, I have a
I'll,
heart. I
yeah.
don't want to scare kids. That's why I
I
adopt them.
mean, right. Well, when it comes to babies, I'm not going up to. But I'll be honest. If I see like a 7 or 8-year-old walking around, they're dead.
I have to read the situation. I read
I'm
the
gonna go after
situation.
them.
Absolutely. If they're being a brat, then absolutely fair game. But if they're like traumatized and they're like, mom, I don't want to go, and the mom's like, we paid for the ticket, let's go. It's like, okay, you are
Right.
losing your child, and I'm adopting
That's
her for a
true.
little bit. I'm gonna make sure that she's not as scared going through.
Right.
That's why I try to like interact with the kids and stuff. Okay, let's burn through the rest of these before time is up. But
Oh yeah.
yes,
Let's do
we
it.
have quite a few more. So, have any people you worked with got out of character and get fired for doing it?
Yes, I have seen people do that. I have seen. I'm not going to say names or years or
No,
anything,
no.
but there's years in the past. I have seen straight up brawls. I have seen straight up 6-on-6. I saw 6 performers on 6 guests brawl it out and fight like sharks versus, you know, like West Side Story stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just going at it. I was like, oh, they gone. But
Of
it
course.
happens.
Yeah.
It's happened. It's definitely happened.
I
It
will
doesn't happen as
say-
much now, but
I saw someone use their phone on set because they hated the role they were given, but then they weren't fired. Instead, they were moved to another maze, the maze that they wanted to work at in the role they wanted to work in. And I was like, why are you rewarding this person? I don't think they saw it as a reward, but he
Interesting.
saw it as a reward. So it's like,
sure.
he should have been fired. I'm sorry. He should have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
That's so not, because he was out there. He was like, I don't know. Like, he was a victim. I'll say this. He was a victim. He didn't like
Okay.
being the victim character. He was really bored. So he just was out there instead of being like, ow, what's happening to me? He literally was just on his phone while
Wow,
guests are going through.
You're gonna unfortunately get performers like that. Unfortunately, you know. But yeah, I've seen brawls.
Yeah,
I've seen fights.
they ruin the experience, you know.
They do.
Do they still do it in 3D? I think this is back when we were talking about the House of Thousand
The
Corpses.
House of Thousand Corpses. I know last year they did they have a 3D maze last year? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I
don't think they
was
did.
it, oh no, they brought House of a Thousand Corpses back last year, but they didn't do it 3D.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't think they really do 3D mazes anymore. I mean, it changes every year. That's
Maybe
the
they'll
thing.
bring it back. Yeah.
They'll probably bring something back that's 3D. The 3D effect is really cool. It definitely looked cool. I remember walking through it the first time because like when
what
you do your
mean
maze
by
walk through.
3D? Is it like the props and stuff are painted like the blue and the
So-
red?
Yes, correct. So like when I did it, like everything was like painted all kind of weird. So like when you put the glasses on, it was the old school like red and blue like lens kind of thing. And so when you walked in, the blood on the walls would pop off the walls kind of thing. And then like the blood on me would pop off my body kind of thing.
Weird.
So it looked really cool. It was dope. It was really cool. And so like certain things in there, it was like blacklit and in different colors, and they would just pop out. They would literally pop out, and you could look like you could kind of like feel it, you know, like old school 3D. So that's why people would get confused. They're like, I can't tell if he's real or not. So like in that maze, a lot of people got touched a lot, especially if you're just like a standstill character,
like
and then you pop up.
Yeah, as long as it's not poorly intended touch. It was just
No,
like curiosity. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
It was
okay.
usually more of just like they'd poke your leg or something. Like, is that a real person? Because it was cool. That maze that year, Rob Zombie actually let Universal borrow a lot of the props from the movie itself. So when you walk through that maze, there was a lot of props from the actual movie, like Fish Boy. We had the actual Fish Boy from the movie. He was in the maze, and a lot of different things, just like little trinkets and stuff.
That's so cool.
it wasn't like that last year, but the first year we did, it was like a huge thing. Like him and Sherry
Still
Moon
need to watch
came
that.
and like they kind of like talked to us and everything, and like it was dope. It was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah,
I love. So, if you're
really.
interested in working haunts, like a lot of places are very creative, and you get a lot of free reign, and you get to talk and stuff, and make up your own character and everything. And this is very creative. But if you're interested in like being a character, like an assigned character, and like essentially being in a horror movie, then that's more like Universal and those kind of theme parks. So,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the difference. I think it's like the reason.
That's
It feels like you're on a set. It's really
Well,
cool.
right, exactly. That's the cool thing about Universal is if you love horror movies and movies in general, like that's the place to work.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you get to work on Terror Tram because you're on the actual Psycho House, you're at the actual Bates Motel.
I
And
definitely
when
had
I
my
was on
moments.
there, did you sign the book in Bates Motel?
I didn't know we could do that, but I did go inside that room and check it out.
Did you see the book? I signed the book.
I did
Because
not sign it. That was my first
you
year there.
didn't.
I was like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to touch these doors even. So like someone had to lead me in. I'm like, this is so
Yeah.
cool. And like my break area was in Whoville, and I like went into one of the buildings
Oh,
that
right.
are made of styrofoam, so it's like nothing is inside them. But I was like,
Yeah.
I'm in Whoville. I love this movie. Oh my god.
It's great. Yeah. For people who are like, what do you mean sign the book? There's a book inside the main office of the Bates Motel that anybody that's ever worked on that set, like movie wise or anything, can sign this book. And it's like a check-in book. And I remember looking through it one time. And it would go back years and years. And you see like Spielberg and like all these like big directors in there, people that have worked on that set and they've used it. And it's like, well, that's cool.
So cool. I needed
You know?
to go back then. Damn it. There was no more Terror Tram. There's no terror. No excuse unless I
know.
sneak in. I'm not going to do that. Let's see. Really quick, how often are your props real? I don't know what you mean by real. Most of them are fake, but the chainsaws are real. It's just the blade
The
is off, like you
chainsaws,
said.
yeah. The rotator blade is taken off, the thing that cuts through, but that center blade, that black center blade, is still metal. It's still screwed in. They're 9 pounds, filled with gas. They do blow up. They spark out. Things get stuck in there. Rocks, different things. I've had chainsaws spark out and shoot out huge flames at times. So it's like, they're real, dude. The chainsaws are real.
The chainsaws are real, but all the other props are going to be fake because liability.
Right.
Are you guys? I think this one is these next two are good to end on because we only have a minute left before I have to get Justin on here.
Let's do it.
The two are both from Nina. Are you guys having anything particularly planned for your free Halloween? And what was one of your favorite scares?
Ooh. As of right now, I don't have anything planned for my Halloween. To be honest, I have no idea. I may do something small, like maybe like just hang out with like a couple friends, with this whole mess going on. I'm not sure. Right now, it's really
horror movie
maybe
marathon.
I was say maybe I'll just
pumpkins.
go home, drink a couple drinks, carve some pumpkins, and watch some horror films. Watch The Thing. The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies. John Carpenter one. So yeah, I may do that. Oh, it's a great one. And wait, what was the other question?
One
again?
of your favorite scares that you've done.
Okay, one of my favorite. Well, it wasn't the dog one. That was horrible.
No. Burn that memory.
Real quick, is you guys? Do you know what a fat head is? A fat head. Those things those big stickers you put on the wall. Like it'd be like a big sticker of like maybe a football player or like whatever. They're called fat heads.
I remember those.
You remember those things?
Yeah.
You stick them on the walls. Well, it was me and my buddy Trevor. You know Trevor.
I'm trying to get him
together.
An interview too, but he needs to message me back.
Oh yeah, I'll message him. I'll tell him.
Cool.
But it was me and him. It was 2016, and I scared this lady, and she was in a group with her friends, and I scared her, and she literally just like I at first I was like, is she messing with me right now? Like I stopped because she stopped. She was just like, she's just frozen in the most weird freeze frame. And he walks up and he's like, you turned that lady into a fat head. And I was like, I was about to take her and stick her on my wall, and I started dying because her. I kid you not. And he saw it happen because he was like, what just happened? I scared her. She froze for a good while. And again, I thought she was messing with me. I thought she was just like, being one of those guests. The group she was in literally picks her up like she's a statue and like moves her off to the side. It was over there by Starbucks, by the tower. And they move her over to the tables by Starbucks and like she's a statue and she got stuck. I freeze framed her. I turned her into a fat head. that I died, dude. I to this day, I'm like, I can't believe that happened, dude. Like, dude, she couldn't do anything. I what's it in Harry Potter? I petrified her. I petrified her,
Oh my
dude.
god, that's beautiful. I love that so much. I hope she eventually got out of that, but
And she did. She was like, "Whoo, I gotta breathe," because I was watching. Me and her were just watching from like the tower. It's like, what is happening? And then she came back, but she was. I turned her into a statue. I turned her into a fat head.
physically like move.
It was so funny. It was so comedic. I was like, I thought she was messing, dude. I thought she was not.
Takes a
And her
second
family was
for
like, "This
sure.
happens. Yes, this is a normal thing for this lady."
Oh, that's awesome, Shane. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. We're a little over
Hey,
our time.
thank you.
I'm gonna get
I
Justin on
apologize.
here. So, would you like to do any final plugs, social media plugs, any projects?
Yeah, I
on,
mean,
etc.?
there's some little projects here and there. Me and my buddies who are also characters, we have a podcast. It's the Pie Guys podcast on Spotify. It's free. Go check it out if you want. We have a bunch of different
It's
episodes
included in the
there.
description below. So if you're interested, I
Oh,
typed it out
perfect.
there.
There we
so
go. Oh, perfect.
sure
Yeah,
to
there
look
you
that
go.
up.
Get out if you like podcasts and stuff. We talk about a lot of different random stuff. But then yeah, Instagram Shane_the_train, TikTok Shane_the_train as well. I have a website if you want to check out some reels and whatnot, and I usually post different projects that are going on there. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, Noel.
Thanks for being here. This was fun. I hope you all
Yeah.
enjoyed it too, you and the lives. Thank you so much for being here. Please follow him on all the things. I have it, all the links in the description below. So Shane's awesome. Please follow him on everything. Check out the podcast that he was talking about.
We're getting a chainsaw next year.
Yes, I want to be Chainsaw. I am going to get Justin. He should be on here. So enjoy this little intermission. It should hopefully only be a few minutes while I switch over the guests. But thank you, Shane.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna do this.
Do it.
Okay, we are back with Justin. Justin,
Hello,
would you like
hello.
to introduce yourself?
My name is Justin. A little bit about me. I mainly have done stilts during haunts. Over the course of, this is actually my 10th year, collectively, from East Coast to West Coast. So originally I'm from Orlando, Florida. I used to be a performer in Walt Disney World as well as Universal in Orlando, and then I moved out here 3 years ago. So collectively, from East Coast to West Coast, 10 years I've been doing haunts.
That's awesome. How'd you get started?
Fun story. My mother actually took me to Halloween Horror Nights for my very first time when I was 9 years old. And I have been in love with Halloween Horror Nights. I have been in love with spooks and haunted houses. We actually created a haunted house in high school. So I went to high school in Orlando. And one of our projects during the fall season was to create a haunt. So we actually used the gymnasium, and we actually created this massive haunted house that people were able to go through, and we raised money to go towards like the performing arts at our school. So yeah, it was actually really cool. So we got to raise money for like chorus, orchestra, and band, and keep the arts alive. So that's how we did it.
Oh, that's so awesome. Okay,
So
that's a good, like, let's get started. A lot of them is like, oh, I was an actor and this popped up and I wanted to try it.
So my mom took me to my very first haunted house, or Halloween Horror Nights, when I was 9 years old, and she was kind of scared because and to anybody that is watching that has kids and everything, don't be too scared to bring your children. Like, yes, it says it's under the age of 13 and everything, but we don't want to discourage that me personally, and other scare actors can probably say fight me against it or anything. I don't think that it's terrible to bring kids. The reasoning behind that is because me as a kid, when I was 9 years old and I came for my first time, it literally opened up my eyes and I was like, I want to do this. Like, I had such a passion for this. And so when people say that, like, you shouldn't be bringing your kids and everything, it's like, you aren't the parent. You shouldn't be the one that is like, this parent should not be taking your kids. No, let them take the kids, because guess what? That kid could be another performer years later, just like me. So I'm against all of the scare actors that are like, you should never bring your kids here and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, hell no, bring the kids here, let them love, let them experience this, let them grow up with this, because when they get to our age, they're gonna understand, or when they get to that age of as a parent, they're gonna understand.
And have an appreciation for it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I will say this. I don't mind parents bringing the kids if the kids can handle it. But I have a problem with the parents that are dragging their kids through because they didn't want to pay for a babysitter and the kid is getting traumatized. Like, there have been so many kids that are like crying, sobbing, like, I don't want to go through. And the parents like, yeah, but we paid, so come on. I have a problem with those parents, but I have met a lot of kids, and I've done these kind of Scareactor stories where I adopt the kids. The reason I can adopt them is because they're really into what's happening, and then they have their eyes open and stuff. So I love those kids, hate the brats, and I hate the parents dragging their traumatized kids through. So it's like, I could see both sides, but just know your kid.
And exactly, know your kid. If the kid is absolutely terrified, you shouldn't like,
you should go
you're like, well, and also, like, I'm 10 feet away. Like, if you're terrified that I'm 10 feet away, I'm like, I'm not gonna go to you. Like, if you are like literally like digging your face into, I'm just not going to, because, you know, I want you to enjoy the event. But if you're not, you know, I don't know, that's just me personally. But
it's funny because Shane and I were touching base on this topic just a little bit, and then we'll hop to another topic, but we were talking about this just briefly beforehand, and I said, would you rather pay for a babysitter or pay for years of therapy for your traumatized child? So just know your kid. But I'm so happy that happened to you, and you had your eyes open to it, and you had more of an appreciation for it, and then you ended up scaring all these years. That's so cool.
So when I first started, I started in parades at Walt Disney World. I can't really go into too much detail, obviously, because number one thing is that Disney is a huge passion to me. Anything that is character integrity, anything that is keeping the magic and keeping the arts and everything alive. I'm one of those ones that I hold that true to myself and true to heart.
I don't want you to get in trouble or anything, so please do not reveal anything if you don't feel comfortable.
Exactly. So it's one of those things that I danced, and I've also done color guard. Have you ever heard of color guard? Like flag twirling and stuff like that in high school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they added that into the parade, and so I can talk about that. I actually did color guard for Disney in their Halloween parade. That's so cool. It was actually really fun. And it's something unique that is just like, this isn't a Disney parade, and it's like, why not? So I got to open up that portion of the parade, and I thought that was really, really fun. And then I decided, I was like, you know what? Because I was working, I worked from Disney at Disney from 2010 to 2017. While I was working at Disney, when you are around the Disney-esque and the Disney magic and stuff like that, sometimes it does get a little draining. Because there's like, you know, you always have to have a smile, you always have to have that uplifting personality, and you always have to have that, like, hey guys, what, like, you know, welcome to Disney, and like, everything is exciting, everything is happy. But then it's funny because like, I'm one of those ones that I enjoy the balance. There's a balance of good and evil. There's a balance of like light and dark. I was actually talking to my friend Lottie, who's actually in the chat right now, Lottie Q. She actually brought up the fact of I'm so like yin and yang. I love like the good, and then I love the evil, the balance. So while I'm working at Disney, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to go and audition for Halloween Horror Nights, because this is something I actually really loved as a kid, and I went every year, and I was like, why not? So I went to an audition. They utilized me as as just a swing. So I didn't really get to do much that first year. I got to do a couple, like the last 2 weeks of the event, but I still got to do it. So I thought that's when I was like, you know what, this is something that I can really enjoy. So.
Well, this is interesting because I haven't interviewed anyone who's had both experiences on the West Coast and East Coast. So what are some of the differences between Halloween Horror Nights Orlando versus Hollywood?
Okay.
Obviously, size.
Obviously size. Yeah. There's more space in Orlando. The thing about it, and I will never trash talk either of the parks, because I've worked at both. And it's one of those things of like, they both have their pros and they both have their cons. Okay. Obviously space, there's a lot more money that goes into Orlando. There's a lot more of a budget. There's more people. There's more there's more things to do in Orlando. Whereas in Universal, there's only so much that we can work with the space because everything is built up. Whereas here or in Orlando, everything is like land space. Working wise, we had a lot. Okay, we had a lot of creative freedom in Orlando. I'm trying to like coast that, like what I can and can't say. There is more creativeness from each performer rather than coming from whereas here it's very like movie set, like this is the directions of what each person is doing and everything. You kind of have guidelines. In Orlando, they're just kind of like, hey, this is your space, develop your character. And I was just like, okay. There was only one time that I had a chainsaw roll, and it was very descriptive. It literally was basically I was a tourist coming to America to purge.
Okay.
And so so I had like all of the American apparel and everything, and a chainsaw, and I was just like, all right. And then, but you can see my skin, so clearly I'm supposed to portray like a tourist from a different country. And I was just like, all right, well, but it was a fun role. That was a fun role. But when I said creative freedom, what I mean by that is that there was one year, 2016, I was in a scare zone called Survive or Die, and it was very Mad Max. It's very Mad Max. So like everybody's fighting over clean water and all of that.
Yeah.
In the street, we were all fighting over clean air. So we were kind of like, we were fighting each other over oxygen, and the lack of oxygen was making us go crazy and stuff like that. And there was 3 factions. There was the Artifice, there was the Hounds, and then there was the Dominion. The Dominion were like the ones that had the oxygen. They had actual masks and stuff like that. We only had like scarves and cloths and stuff. We were able to actually create our own characters, which was kind of cool because they were like, hey, these are your outfits, which kind of look like Kanye West's like yellow and beige like clothing line that I don't know if you've seen any photos of that.
Bit, yeah.
Okay. It kind of literally resembled like that. So we were able to create our own characters, and I created Shadow. This is actually how Shadow was created.
I'm so interested in this story now. Now that I know this, I was like, I want to know the beginning.
So this is actually how Shadow was created. Shadow is actually an actual nickname that was given to me. This is an actual nickname that people at work call me. They don't call me by my real name. They actually legit call me Shadow. They have me in like everything at work. Like everything is Shadow. They don't actually use my real name.
That's pretty cool.
So what was cool is that people would call me Shadow because I always stuck to people's shadows when I did my scares. So I would literally hide behind people while people are walking, and then other people were walking this way, and I would pop out from behind people and get my scares. I don't really use a lot of like props or like but now we have to because I'm over here and there's really no room to really hide behind people. But in Orlando there was so much space that it was like, okay, cool, I can dance around and everything. And that's what I did, was that I mingled behind people and to get my scares, and I was just hiding in shadows, and people were just calling me Shadow, and it stuck with. So yeah, that's actually how Shadow came to be, and I carried that name over to the West Coast, and I still kind of use the technique that I do, but now not really as much because of the space wise. But
yeah, that makes sense. And that is interesting because I didn't know in Orlando that you can make up your own characters. Like they'll give you a costume and say, here you go, creative freedom. Like that's what I want.
Do you want to know the backstory of my character that I literally created?
Yes, please.
So I was blindfolded. I literally had a blindfold. You could not see my eyes, which was the scary part, because any this is the reason why that a lot of people freak out at any haunts or anything. They can't see your eyes. And that is what freaks people out. If they can't make that eye connection and everything, and that is how people easily get scared. And it's funny because I actually did the study. I covered my eyes with a blindfold, and nobody can tell where I was going, or nobody could tell who I was going after and everything. And I played as a blind person. And so my backstory is that I was captured by the Dominion, and the Dominion had a hound that clawed my eyes out because I had it. Literally, there's this whole backstory, but I had like the gift of foresight and everything, but they didn't like that. And everything. So the Dominion kidnapped me and then clawed my eyes out. And then the artifice finally saved me. Our leader is Mother. So I was Mother's like side child. Like I was always with Mother.
Like right
hand man. So anytime that people would try to like, she was older. So we made sure that she was protected because both sides of the coast, it doesn't even matter. Both parks get those guests that are intoxicated, very rough play, a little touchy and everything. So we had older women who played Mother, and they were down on the ground, and we made sure that she was protected at all times. Like nobody went near her, nobody messed with her or anything. But I was always with her, and people didn't realize that. They literally thought that I was blind. They literally thought that I legit was blind. And I would go right up to people and right after people if they try to mess with her and stuff. So cool. it was I was literally the dad of the group whenever it comes to streets and stuff like that. I'm always making sure that everybody's okay, everybody's taken care of. We had somebody that like I make sure that people like don't run. Like even on the street, I'm just like, do not run, because we had a girl that got knocked down and she had a concussion because somebody ran into her.
Yeah,
it's like
that does happen.
Yeah,
though. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get into stilt walking and chainsaw?
Okay, chainsaw was only 1 year. They wanted to train me and to do it because I don't know why they wanted me to be a chainsaw. Honestly, I don't really count myself as a chainsaw. I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoy stilt walking. I enjoy just having a prop and just being on the ground, scaring, doing what I did. There was 1 year I had a feather and I used it as a knife. Like,
I love that. I love unusual props.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah.
So stilt walking actually happened April 2011. That was my April 11th? April 15th, something like that. 2011 was when I first started stilt walking. I took a couple of workshops over at Walt Disney World, and Disney actually, I did 5 workshops. They told me not to come back, and then I went to an audition. They called me for an audition, and I went to the audition, and then they hired me.
Nice.
The story about Disney, and I'll try not to go too much into detail about this, but I have auditioned 6 times. Now, when you audition and you get placed into what's called a character pool, you literally have to wait 6 months until you can either audition again, or you have to wait 6 months to figure out, like, hey, we have a space for you. Cool. Awesome. The only problem is that my height is a dead height, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's like in one of those little like holes of heights where they can't fit you anywhere.
Well, they can, but
it's tough because like why go with this person when we have someone who is the height? Yeah,
that's
supply
exactly.
and demand. Yeah.
So, luckily because of stilts, that landed me that position.
So learn skills, and maybe you have a better shot at getting a job. Yes. Absolutely. No, very encouraging right there. If you guys have a skill, use it. If you guys do art, if you guys do music, if you sing, if you do anything, utilize that as a chance to grow in any industry. Because just like what she said, here's Joe Schmo and here's you, but you guys are both the same height, maybe the same build, but like what do you offer that this person doesn't offer, because it's one of those things that's what they look for. What makes you unique that they can use you for, because they're totally gonna use you, but you need to be usable.
Yes.
Marketable.
Yes.
Yes.
So But yeah, and then almost 10 years later, I carried stilt walking from East Coast to West Coast and still doing it.
Nice. What zone were you 2018 Halloween Horror Nights?
Monsters University. Universal Monsters.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Monsters University. You know.
Because we have someone who asks, have you ever fallen or almost tripped someone while on stilts?
Okay. 2 times in my lifetime that I've ever fallen on stilts. One, it happened. So I used to perform in Walt Disney World. I used to do shows and parades there. I did a show called Festival of the Lion King. If you guys have ever been over to Disney in Orlando, Festival of the Lion King is located in Animal Kingdom. There was a performer that was having a costume issue, and he decided to immediately exit stage right, which if you're not paying attention, you could be going in a pathway that a lot of people can be taking. So at the beginning of the show, chaos is happening, so much is happening, and you're having a costume issue, and this performer decided to exit stage right. So while he did that, I had my back turned to him, and I turn around and I'm going to my next spot, and right immediately there, he and I collided, and I went immediately down. He didn't realize that he ran into me until after some of the performers had to run out, pick me up, and then take me backstage. Like,
were you okay?
Luckily at Disney, we do have safety equipment and stuff like that. It's not, it's to help prevent injury, but not really. I did have elbow pads, but the one thing that I did that did hit and it hurt for 2 weeks. Well, still to this day, it kind of comes back, but it's my left elbow. So the way a lot of people ask, like, how are you supposed to fall on stilts? You're not supposed to fall on stilts. Like, that's the thing. Obviously, you don't.
What's the proper way to fall?
What is the proper way to fall? That's what people ask.
Fall.
So what typically happens, if you guys ever see a stilt walker and stuff like that, hopefully they are trained, or hopefully that they know this. But basically, what you need to do is that you have to get as low as possible to the ground. You have to get as low as possible to the ground to kind of to distance. Eliminate that distance that you're about to hit the floor.
And therefore the greater force, right?
Never. This is the second time that I fell. I did this, and never do what I did.
No. I know.
Never reach your arms out to catch yourself. Never reach your wrists out thinking, oh, you know what? If I just extend my arms out and fall, I'm going to catch myself. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you wound up breaking stuff.
You're gonna break your wrist. You might hurt your elbow.
So basically, it's like a tuck and roll, and basically you want to hit the meaty parts of your body. So like this. You kind of want to like when you go down, you want to get as low as possible and then kind of roll it out. And that's like the proper way to fall. So my second time that I fell actually just recently happened at a haunt that I'm currently working at. I can't really give too much information about it, but LA Haunted Hayride, if you guys are in the LA area in San Dimas, you guys might see somebody there. Just saying. But it's really fun and everything. But what wound up happening was that I did take a fall, and my arms I did that, and yeah, it's not fun.
No.
It's absolutely not fun.
Good tips, because you are gonna fall, you are gonna get hurt. Just minimalize the damage done for sure.
Also, here's some other tips. If you guys are ever performing around stilt walkers, okay?
Please, I never learned how to perform around stilt walkers, and I ended up getting hurt. So please.
All right. So this is the thing, okay? Always know. Please be aware of your surroundings whenever you're around a stilt walker. We have so much vision. We can see everything, okay? But what a lot of people don't realize is that if you start walking backwards or you take quick turns and you run, that's where things can go wrong. So it's one of those things of like, you need to pay attention, like look before going, if that makes any sense. Like when you're crossing a street, look before you go. That way if you're working next to a stilt walker and everything, if the stilt happens to be behind you and you turn around and you happen to go, but you can't see peripheral vision of that, like that stilt walker, we can see you. But at that quick moment, like, you might not see us, and then you can easily take us out. So it's one of those things of like, we have vision, but we can only do so much to stop what is going to happen, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So sense. we only have so much time that we can react until like, oh God, there's nothing I can do, and you're going to go down. So, if a stilt walker ever falls, they typically do like some training classes and stuff like that to teach people how to actually pick us up. If anything, we would just do the crawl of shame, and then we would pick ourselves up. So from like a trash can or like a fence or something like that.
Something higher that you can climb up. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was never taught how to be around stilt walkers. Like, I've been scaring for years, but I don't know what you guys can see or how you move or anything like that. And I ended up accidentally, totally my fault. Absolutely, I take blame. But I cut in front of a stilt walker by accident, not realizing that they were taking a step, and they ended up stepping on my foot, and I tumbled down and twisted my ankle. But it did end up with an epic exit, I guess, where he tried to pick me up the same time I was trying to get up, and it flung me in the air a little bit, and then I did like a hero's landing and roared to the sky a little bit, and people were laughing at me, and I was just like so ashamed, and then I went off set and I was like, my ankle.
Yeah.
Live and learn, you know.
a lot of stuff like that actually does happen. We had a swing that came in 1 year, and I did like one night, you know, when we have swings, he came in and he wasn't paying attention to the fact that we had stilts on the street, and constantly I'm coming out to do a scare, and he just runs right into my knees, and I'm just like, can you not?
Little bug, leave.
So, but this is also another thing. Never be afraid of stilt walkers, because what's great about us is that we're really great distractions, and always learn, like, even if you're new to working around a stilt and stuff like that, always know that you bounce off of us. Like, it's one of those things. A lot of people that I've worked with, not in the East Coast. The East Coast knows about this because of their space, but on the West Coast, I've noticed they don't know how to partner scare. And that's one thing that I kind of wish that it's like, you know, that more people would try to do, is to partner scare and like utilize me as like, hey, I am a distraction. I am a tall guy on stilts. Like, you know, there's only so much that I could do. Like, people can see me off in the distance, but they can't see you. So, like, utilize that. You know, they're paying attention to me. I'm a distraction, but guess what? You can come off on the side and get that scare. So.
Oh, we would partner scare with our stilt walkers. I was on New York Street. I was one of the trick or treat wolves, and Jeff, one of the stilt walkers, he had this fake hatchet. And for some reason, he gave me said hatchet, but I couldn't grab it because of my claws. So I was like really confused, running around like, I'm a confused wolf right now. And I tried to like give it back to him, and he just pet my head and then walked away. And I'm like, no, take it back.
Yeah, it's like, no, I can't have this.
I can't have this. This is your prop, and I can't hold it. So, oh my goodness. But it was so great because we had this understanding that I don't know if we even talked about it, but there's this understanding that the wolves were the stilt walkers' minions. So if some guest was giving us trouble or like chasing us or something, we would immediately run to like pop a stilt walker, hide behind the stilt walker, and the stilt walker would like jump down and then crawl up and get that height and then scare off the guests. And we were like, thank you.
So that's another thing that I love, that I'm going to bounce off of. That is another thing that I absolutely love, is that we are the bodyguards of the performers that are on the ground. We always, because we can see everything. So I'm constantly, like I said, I was like the dad of the during like horror nights and stuff. I'm constantly watching where is everybody while I'm doing my scares and stuff like that. Like, I'm watching every single person, because no one's gonna. Immediately, I will get the attention of one of our like hosts and stuff like that to deal with the situation immediately.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Because that's one thing that I absolutely loved about these past couple of years is that security has been really on top of everything. So that's or from my perspective, they have been. But
mine is so.
Yeah. The what was it? There was one situation that actually two. One, there was a guy that football like shoulder checked me on stilts in Orlando. And he literally like deliberately walked up to me and like did this to me and hit my leg. So I was going down. Like I literally almost went down. I was going, and like anytime that you are about to take a fall, you kind of want to take that fall. You don't want to keep like building that momentum. Like, you know, if you're running and you're like, oh God, I'm going to trip. I'm going to try and stop myself from falling and everything. You shouldn't really do that. But I did.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you should just take a fall. Also, another thing is that if a stilt is learning how to stilt walk and everything, never grab on another stilt walker ever.
Because then you both go down. And,
exactly.
And they're even less in control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was going like I dropped my prop and I was like running, and I looked at Cindy and there was like a little girl, not even like maybe like 5 foot. She had a chainsaw. She looks up at me and I look at like literally our eyes just met. I don't know how this happened. Our eyes met. She placed her chainsaw down, reached her hands up, and I grabbed her hands and she stabled me. I don't know how it happened, but it literally she saved my life that night.
Oh my God.
Like it just happened all so quick, but she looked up at me. She didn't even like she saw me coming towards her and she looked up and she saw me and she's like, that's all she did. And she saved me. She stabled me. So
that's fantastic.
It was I
would not think to do that because I don't know anything about stilt walking, so I wouldn't even know. Like, do you need help?
Yeah, that moment, that person got escorted out of the park.
Good.
Yeah, he got escorted. The second, I had it. Actually, same Cindy. There was a guy, there was like this big, like burly guy and everything, like getting in his face or her face. She's doing her job scaring. I have this like massive scythe and like this massive like prop, and I come up behind her, like she's little girl, and I come up behind her on like I'm like 8 feet tall or something like that with my scythe, and I place the scythe in between her and the guest, and I look at him and I'm like, are you like I'm like don't touch. I'm like don't get in her face. Don't get in her face. My manager's right over there. So it's one of those things of like, yes, I'm very protective over the ground people.
Oh, I
very
love
protective.
That. I love that. I was definitely Mama Wolf out there too, because I would like help my, because the wolves, like, we are female, so we get this unwanted attention. Of course, the males get that unwanted attention too, but we get a different kind of attention, you know. And so if anyone was like flirting with the wolves or something, I would go in for the revenge scare and be like, no, you do not. You do not scare my girls. And then they got my back too, because I had no vision. I had no upper, lower, or peripheral in that mask. So if someone were to like touch me or bump into me, most likely I would not even know who did it, but another werewolf without the big mask, just prosthetics, would go out and we would tag team that, and she would point at the person and follow them through the crowd while I ran to get security and pointed saying, yeah, that werewolf, the one she's pointing at, get that one. So you just really got to work with your fellow scarers and know how to like de-escalate a situation if you can without getting security. But if you need security, obviously get security. But
yeah,
you know, look out for each other. I love that you're just like taking care of people. I love that. So Dark Black Rain is here, said, I played around with a stilt walker who used me like a puppeteer back in 2018 for scares. That's awesome.
Actually, there was a stilt walker that I didn't get to do, but there was one, I think, I don't remember what year. Actually, no, they do it during Christmas in the Macy's parade. They actually have a stilt walker and a performer, and it's like the stilt walker was the puppeteer and the performer was the puppet. During the Macy's parade. I thought it was really cute.
That is cool. I love like the puppeteer stuff. Nina, have you ever seen someone touch the stilts while they're walking and get kicked out? Well, you kind of talked about that in one of the stories, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, hi, William. I haven't acknowledged you yet. Hi, William. William is in the chat. He's a fellow scarer. He was one of my Jasons in 2017, and turned one of my best friends. Hi, William.
What was it? If I notice somebody like deliberately like do something, like I'm gonna go and like grab that person's hair or something like that, that's when I bring something. But if they accidentally like, you know, like touch or something like that and get scared and everything, I don't make a big deal about it. It's just like, hey, just, you know, be mindful, don't touch. Like,
yeah, the more you scare, the more you can call it of like, was that on purpose or is that an accident? Because you're gonna get touched, you're gonna get accidentally hit sometimes, bumped into, whatever. But if someone's deliberately like pushing people, that's when we get security for sure, and be all like, although I always have this mentality, although it may not have hurt me most of the time, like it doesn't hurt, it doesn't bother me or anything, they might be doing it to other scare actors and it might bother them or hurt them too. So you want to get security and just say, hey, keep an eye on this person because it seemed deliberate. They might hurt someone else. So just keep an eye on them. Watch out for people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was a crazy thing that happened in Orlando, and I don't know if it's ever happened here. There have been people that would bring fishing hooks on fishing wire. Now, what happens is that the metal of the fishing hooks are not detectable in the metal detectors, and people would literally throw the fishing hooks in the houses, and people would get caught on them. Yeah,
that is so dangerous. And
that has happened. That has happened in Orlando. I don't know how many times. That's why if I go through houses and I feel those like those really thin strings, you know, like when you go down like a dark, like the dark hallways and you feel those thin strings, it freaks me out. It freaks me out because I'm like, that's all I can think of is
the fishing
like
lines. Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
so
even people in the chat are going like, "Oh wow, what? Like, that's insane. Why would they? Why is that a thing?"
That's why it's like one of those things of like, I think that they might have updated the metal detectors now. I don't know, but that was that was
so dangerous. Did you ever get hooked or like someone you know get hooked?
No, but I had like there were guests reported that they were like they got hooked by something.
Like in the skin too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Oh god, that's so horrible. Like what
like those are like nightmarish stories.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, please, like it's good to know these things because people don't really think of it. I never would have thought of someone doing that. Jeez. Okay, me just joining. What happened? We're telling Scareactor stories.
We're telling scary stories.
Scary stories of like scare acting that really happened. Well, let's change it a little bit. What are some of the like funniest reactions you've ever had from scaring? Tell some of those stories.
So actually, this just happened last year. There was so there's like a vignette that I typically stand next to. And it was just this woman, and then I think her husband was behind her, but like she was just like going ahead of him, and he was just like enjoying what's happening. Well, she's walking. She didn't realize that she's standing right next to me, and I literally dropped down with like right next to her, like okay. So picture the mic, her face, and I was like this. She dropped to the ground and she literally screamed, "I'm peeing." And she literally was peeing down her leg, like in front of me. And the other scare actors are just like, they all looked up at me and they're like, I was like, yeah, this is happening.
Just wow. I've gotten people to pee like a little bit, but it wouldn't like break the underwear, but to like full on.
It was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was. That was something.
You get a medal, gruesome card for that one.
I didn't get anybody to poop themselves, but I was like,
I've gotten one person to poop themselves, and it was a big macho guy with his buddies who were messing with me. So it was like the ultimate revenge, where I just like, I don't know, I don't even remember what I did. I just popped out of a crowd. And he like did a little domino effect into the back of his friends, and they were like holding him, and he was just like, "I'm pooping." I was like, I'm sorry,
So
what?
I had one scare that I wish that like I would have been able to kind of like recorded it and everything.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in like the finale of a house,
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming down the hallway towards me, and I go and I pop out, and literally it looked like I airbended the room because everybody just fell back, like everybody in the room just like it was literally like fall all the way back, and I was just like, literally, I'm like, oh, okay.
Little Steve moment. Did I do that?
So I literally was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go back here,
Just
and then they
gonna
all had to like
reset.
they all had to pick themselves up and everything. I was like, all right, well.
Love that.
But other than that, my favorite character that I've ever been was the was Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shadow. Because so many people literally thought that I was blind, and it freaked them out because like I was just walking the street, but I could see through the cloth. And the cloth was like bloody and everything, but I could see through the cloth, and I also had Mother carved in my chest.
Nice.
So it was just like I was devoted to Mother and everything, and that was a lot of fun. Being able to have that little bit of freedom was fun.
Do you ever have like a checklist in your mind of what you would like to accomplish during the scare season? Because I always have like, I want to get someone to pee their pants. I would want someone to spill their beer. I want to get someone to fall over and not get hurt, but I do want someone to fall over. Or do you just kind of like take it as it comes?
Honestly, I don't really have a checklist like that. I'm more of the one that I'm very big on like this is kind of like not on stage stuff. This is like backstage of like I really enjoy the community, and I really want to make sure like my goal at the end is that I really want to make sure that everybody is like a family.
Mm-hmm.
We did a bunch of fun events. Like we dressed up in drag, we dressed up in like Wacky Wednesday. We just did some really fun like family oriented stuff. We had like potlucks every weekend and stuff like that. So that was very big to me. I had a huge passion for that because, you know, we spend an entire season together and everything. It's like, why not like build that family? You know, we spend so much time together. It's like, so that right there, honestly, is my biggest thing. That's why I'm very big on like making sure that everybody is taken care of, on and off. And that's just how I am. And that right there, like I don't really have, like I said, I don't really have like a checklist or anything. It was just one of those things of like, I want to. I guess that throughout the entire time, I just love enjoying being there and being with the family.
That's sweet. I like that.
I never thought about creating a checklist though. Now that I think about it, I'm like, maybe I can do that one year. Maybe that might be something I might try and put together one year. I don't know.
Like I always started doing it when I saw like very common reactions, not like super common, but common enough to like be a challenge, but can feasibly still happen. Like getting someone to pee their pants. It's like not everyone's gonna have that reaction, but when you do, it's like that's a win. Cool. Yeah. I had that happen this year. But also Mackenzie and I, the other wolf and I, were in a little competition of like who could get the better scares. So like she would go out and like scare a bunch of teens, come back, tell our supervisor, and the supervisor would turn to me and be like, "What you got, Noelle?" And I'm like, "Well, let me go out there and show you, man." And then I would like do a domino effect to some people. I'm like, "I got people to fall over, Mackenzie. How about you?" And it would just be like, how can we one up each other in our scares?
So one thing that I did make as a goal was that I wanted to be able to partner scare with everybody.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
So I wanted to make sure that I was able to at least partner scare with each person that was with me. So that was a fun goal. That like I was like, how can I work with you? In like, you know, you were a completely different person. How can I do it? What can we do to work together? So I think that was kind of.
What's one of like the funnest stories you have in mind of like one of those collab scares?
So, so we had another performer that would jump from like I would I would be standing still and they don't realize that I'm real, and then I would drop and like spread my legs. The performer would run through my legs and attack them.
I love that.
It was fun.
Still
It wasn't safe, but it was fun, and I was just like, okay. Like
Do it
after
a
a while,
couple
we were
times.
like, we'll do it a couple times. That's it.
As long as no supervisors around, we're okay.
Yeah.
We
But-
have let's see. William wants to know, is there a height limit for stilt walkers?
No, but I think there's a weight limit. Actually, no, not on these stilts. Depends on the stilts that you're using. So what happens, actually, if I can show you. So from your foot all the way to here, it depends on the length. Because sometimes they don't have bars that will fit the length of like that part of your leg. So it could be too high that it'll cover your knee, and you need to bend your knees
Right.
in order to actually walk. So that's the only portion of like what matters with the stilt. Now the weight is only specific stilts. So I have a pair of stilts, they're called S2s. They're just drywall stilts. Like they're not really meant to do a lot of things. Whereas in like at theme parks, they have like the really sturdy ones that can last forever. Those ones like 190. Like you don't want to do anything like if you're over 190, you do not want to do anything that can wear and tear on the stilts or they can snap. It's just one of those things of like that's kind of like the safe weight. But for the height, there's really no like I said, it just depends on your leg. But
Makes sense.
yeah.
William says he's 6'4".
6'4", yeah.
So
Honestly,
you can do stilts.
Yeah, I'm 5'6". I'm short. I'm actually, fun fact, I am the shortest stilt walker on property.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have William and Kyle saying Tramily.
Oh.
UG.
I've never actually seen tram, and I never got to experience tram, so.
I never got to experience it as a guest, and I've always wanted to, but I started on tram my first year as a kill, and then to get a little bit extra money, a few more hours working, I would go into pool and then be put in other mazes. So that was really fun, especially because I'd never gone through the event as a guest before. So I just started working it, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
I would have to say that my favorite experience working East Coast, West Coast was being a stilt swing. So what was really cool is that I was prioritized. So in Orlando, I was prioritized as a stilt first. But if all of the stilt roles have been like covered and everything, then I would go into anywhere. It was so fun because I got to meet so many people and I got to work with so many other different like performers, and I got to work in so many different venues, and I loved it. Like I love people, and I'm just a people person, and I love being able to bounce off with people. Like that's the thing. It's like, what can I do to partner scare with you and everything, and like it was just a lot of fun, and that's what I enjoy about it. That's why I love the jobs that we do.
I love the fact that you love working with people for scares, because there are so many people I know that are like, I'm in my head, like I want to just do a scare and all that.
I
But
don't. I find
you
get
so
bored.
much more with people.
Yeah. I love okay, so this is me. I love being the one that like I can help you get a really good scare. I can help you get a person onto the ground. Like I feel completed. I feel accomplished. Like that's literally I feel I get so giddy about that.
Like I helped, yay.
I help. That makes me so happy. Like that is what I love. I know a lot of people are like I want to get that good scare and stuff like that. It's like I love being able to like I love partner scaring, and I love bouncing off with people. Me being by myself, yeah, I can it gets boring after a while. When you get to play with other people, that's when it gets really fun.
And you both get so creative because like there's a whole other element to it in the mix. I like improving with people, whether for a scare or not. Like I said this with Shane in the interview before this. So apologies for repeating myself if you were here for Shane's bit too, but there was this one improv moment. I don't think you know this, but do you know Scare Zone Rob?
Was he the one in the rabbit suit?
No, that was Joshua.
No.
He had the only like front mask zombie kid in 2018 in the New York street, but he was one of the zombie kids from Trick or Treat. And I was one of the wolves. And in the whole zone, everyone knew this hierarchy of the zombie kids were afraid of the wolves who were afraid of Chainsaw. And Stilt's minions were the wolves or zombie kids if they're around. So, it was kind of dead and we were bored. So Rob comes up to me and I turn to him, I face him, and he goes, "Whoa!" and starts running away. And I go, he wants me to chase him. Cool. So I start chasing him into the other zone with all the chainsaws, and he hides behind a chainsaw. And this is what we read each other's minds. We wanted this to happen. This is how the improv was supposed to end. The chainsaw was going to scare off the wolf, right? Wrong. There was a pool person as Chainsaw that day who didn't understand the hierarchy and thought, oh, this is just fun. So she waves hi at me and walks away, leaving Rob exposed and me very much in like arm's length to eat him and finish that improv. But obviously that's not going to happen. So we had a moment of panic where we looked at each other like, what do we do now? How do we finish this? I'm supposed to like grab you now. The chainsaw didn't scare me away. What do we do? So Rob hides behind one of the plants that like the ferns with the very thin long leaves and has like 3 of them in front of one eye. And I took that and went, where'd he go? I just walked away. He was not hidden at all. But it's like, this is the best we got. What? Where'd he go? Bye. And it was just hilarious. We had guests laughing at us, and that was part of it. Like Shane and I were saying, if you can't scare them, at least entertain them and make them laugh.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If you can get any kind of a reaction out of people, they're getting their money's worth, you know.
Yeah.
Me and my friend Aaron in Orlando, he and I were Stilt brothers. We were like we were always scheduled together. We were always together, so we always like bounced off of each other whenever we did scares. So it was one of those things of like you build those relationships, and those relationships last a long time.
For sure. Like William and I are still friends, and he was one of my first improv partners. It's funny. He says, Noelle's the best person to partner with. She will catch on to what you're up to. He says this because my first year scaring HHN, 2017, I was Grindstone Kill, and he was one of my Jasons. So Jason would always switch. There were always the 2 Grindstone girls that would switch off, but the Jasons would always switch off because they were like bouncing around the different parts of the maze. But William was the first one, and I think we ended together too for the night. So I started with him and then ended with him. But Jason was supposed to grab the counselor, me, push my face into the grindstone and be like turning the grindstone. So I had this really gross mask on and everything. And then my relief from being bent forward and hurting my back was when Jason would step forward. We were on a stage, so we were a distraction. Then a pop-out came up from behind them. And so Jason would step forward and try and like intimidate the guest before coming back and put my head in the grindstone again. And this one time, he decided to get my face stuck on the grindstone. And I caught on to this. So instead of just like a slow flow of it, I had my face in the grindstone just staring at the stone. And I realized like the stone was doing this weird like thing. And in my head, I was like, is he trying to like act like my face got stuck? Okay, let's do this. So I acted with it. I was like, oh no. And then he would continue it and I go, my face, and just be like super jumpy with it. And we grossed out someone so much. And the reason I know this is because one of my roommates at the time went through that night. And his Lyft driver afterwards talked about that and said it creeped her out so much, like she can't get it out of her head. And I was like, that's what we're here for. We may not scare you, but we'll creep the hell out of you. Like, we leave an impression. I'm trying to think of like other improv scares that we did, because there was that one time where I tried to shout to him, I'm leaving, or I'm gonna run off, and he didn't hear me because we were already on the set. So one of the things I didn't like about it was we planned this out ahead of time, talking to each other. You always communicate with your partners. You know, if you're a victim, you have a monster, always communicate. You know, and so we had this agreement to switch people. The Grindstone girls had a watch that we would check, and we can see in our peripheral when the partner is there to switch. So Jason relies on us. So when we grab the hand of Jason, that's Jason's cue to like have us get up and then take us off stage, switch to the other Grindstone, and then drag her on instead. And while I was on set, I had the thought, that doesn't make sense. Why would he drag off that one person to drag on that one person? I'm going to make it look like I tried to escape and then he drags me back, right? So I shout up to William, and he can vouch in the chat. I go, loud enough where the guests don't hear me, but hopefully he does. And he totally did not hear me because he was listening to music. And I was like, I'm going to hit your back when I run. I'm running off stage when it's time to switch. He did not hear me. So when it was time to switch, he steps forward to do that intimidation scare. I get up, and as I'm leaving, I tap him on the back. I guess he didn't feel that either, just to let him know, I'm out. I sprint, and I say, like, hey to my partner, like, we're off stage at that point, but he could totally see us. If you have that certain angle, you could see us. So I was just, like, chilling with my partner. And then William does the intimidation scare, looks back, sees I'm not there, looks over into the little nook that both Grindstone girls are at, and we both just wave at him, and he does this little, like, runs off. Like, takes
it's like a little comedic moment.
It was so funny. It was so funny. I have it like on repeat in my head. It was just such a funny moment. I'm so sorry. He goes, just not happy how you left me on stage. I tried to tell you. I'm sorry. I just had that image. I don't know. Couldn't stop laughing when I got out. Yeah, me neither.
But you know what? It's like it's not only a memory for the guests to see, but it's also a memory for you guys.
Hell
so
yeah, that's one of my favorite stories of like, sorry, now that we're off stage, let me explain my thought process of why. Why did I do that? Why didn't I just wait until like we were both backstage and I could explain to him, hey, the next time.
Why not? Like, you know,
let's just go for it. Let's see what happens. And we had a funny moment. There we go.
That's great.
I love this little like oopsie poopsies, but it works and it's a fun memory.
Yeah.
Dark Black Rain. I've had my killer leave me on the table when they're getting switched out, and I'm just like, what?
Oh, dark. It's like, guess what? You're just staying there.
Oops, you're just dying. You're killing yourself. You got to take that, whatever they're using, like that saw or something, and start doing it to yourself. Like, help me.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Why am I doing this? Help.
It's like going back to Truth and Dare again. It's
yeah.
like,
I'm sorry, me. I don't know why I'm doing this. And then the killer comes back. It's like, oh, thank you. I'll take care of that. Oh, sure. No problem.
Yeah, you know, I'm just doing your job for you. You know,
anything to help. I'm a helpful person. I mean,
oh my God. Me. Start spraying. Okay, literally, there were a couple times. So whenever I go through mazes and everything, I don't get scared that much anymore. Mm-hmm. I've gotten used to, you know,
I know we're certain. Sensitized. You know what to look for. Yeah.
It's like I know when this person's gonna pop out, when this person's gonna pop out. Okay, I will tell you 3 scares that scared the crap out of me, the absolute crap out of me. One of them being the freaking water. I didn't even get scared. Literally, that water sprayed the crap out of my face. And it was during Purge. I think it was last year.
Okay.
Or no, Universal Monsters year. So 2018. It was Purge down at the lower lot. Mm-hmm. And literally, like, the girl that was at the news reporter, or like she was at the news station desk, she's getting her throat, like, cut. But then she pulls out the hose and then, like, it sprays. Literally, I saw it happening every second of the way, and I was like, uh-oh. Like, literally, when I saw that, I was like, oh, no. And it literally right into my eyes. And it, like, no. I literally ran into the wall behind. Because it literally just got me right in the eyes. The other 2 were, okay. I'm going to say that one for last. One of them was, it was like this, that giant monster, at the end of Clownzilla. I think it's Clownzilla. And
what year?
was last year, I think.
Oh, Killer Clowns from
It
Outer
was
Space?
Killer Clowns from outer space.
Oh,
It was
I
that
love
giant
that maze.
Clownzilla. I was like, what is that? And I forgot about that in the movie. And I was just like,
So I know you have one more story to tell, but just jumping off that, my boyfriend actually worked tech for that maze for a bit. And he's 6'4", and he's a tall guy, and nothing really scares him unless it is like taller than him. So going through that maze really freaked him out because those clowns are so big. So and he had to walk that maze throughout the night, like constantly, to make sure everything was working. And he just told me the other day, we saw Killer Clowns again, and we were just talking, like reminiscing about the maze and everything. We loved that maze so much. And it got to the Clownzilla part of the movie, and he was like, that blackout actor, that thing, that face, I hated it, especially closing, and it would still move because of the wind or something happening. Nightmares. Like, it would like freak him out.
oh my god, that when I saw that, I forgot about that, and I was just like, what is that? Like, what is that?
I
And
had not seen the movie. Okay, so I went through the maze twice. The first time I had not seen the movie. The second time going through, I had seen the movie, so I had more of an appreciation for it. Like, going through, I was like, this is so hokey the way they did it. And then I saw the movie, I'm like, no, it's pretty spot on. They did a really good job. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's like, it's one of those things that like you have to kind of watch the movie in order to be like, yeah, no, that was actually really good.
That was really good. Yeah, kind of like Waterworld. Like when I saw Waterworld, I was like, this is a weird set. I don't get what's going on. Then I saw the movie. I'm like, that's pretty spot on. That's pretty spot on. Good job, Universal.
The third one was actually, believe it or not, Hopper in Stranger Things 2018.
Really?
Hopper scared the crap out of me because you're going down this hallway in the Hawkins lab, and out of nowhere I'm like walking next to these doors, and I'm like, are these doors gonna open? Because I'm like, I'm like, it looked like they were fake doors, that they were like not really like openable.
Right.
I was wrong.
You never know.
I was wrong. I literally was like, oh no, nobody's gonna pop it, and boom, like Hopper just like swings open that door with that like his gun in his hand, and like right next to me, and I was like, what the hell? But no, that was a really good scare. I actually saw him after like later that night, and I was just like, I had to congratulate you. Like, not many people not many people scare me that easily, but man, that one right there, I was just like, you got me. Like, and it wasn't even like an intentional scare. It was more so of he just happened to open up the door at that time that he was right next to me, and I was like,
perfect timing. And you were so unsuspecting. Oh, now you learned a lesson. Always be suspecting.
Now, whenever you're going through a maze, my question to you, what do you like when you go through a maze, because you've been through so many mazes and stuff like that? What is something that like you take out of going through those mazes?
I love looking for actors getting creative with their roles, especially playing with height. I've talked about this a lot. If you see my streams or like my stories and stuff, I talk about this a lot. I have a high appreciation for actors that really play with the fact that people don't tend to look down or up as they're going through a maze. So if you're like, this got me, I'll say this, like, you can get me in mazes. I'm not super desensitized like other actors. I do get scared, especially if I allow myself to be scared. Like going through a haunt, I allow myself to be scared. So it's very easy to get me. I have very big reactions. I'm a dramatic blonde bitch. Like, you can get me. So going through this one maze, I think it was up in San Francisco. Yes, it was. It was at Great America. I remember this. So I was going through the Great America haunt. And there was like this children's bedroom, and it had this big bed. So you walk through the store, and to the left is this big like queen size bed with a canopy, like a wooden canopy. And then you see like all these dolls and stuff around the room. And I was looking around going like, but where's the actor? And then she didn't do anything. I just felt like I was being watched, and I looked up, and she was hanging from the canopy. And that was it. That was the scare. And it got me. I was just like, oh my God. Because like, I did that. And she was right by my face is the other thing. Like, she was right there, because you walk in the room and right there. I didn't think to like look to my left and up a little bit. That got me. So always play with height. I always look for those. I just like looking at the like makeup and costumes and creativity and stuff. But
my favorite thing, and it's not meant to it's not meant to like turn away the scares and stuff like that, because I do get scared sometimes, but it's very difficult because I've been going through so many haunts since I was 9 years old, so I'm kind of expecting it.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
know,
oh, I see a door here, they're probably gonna jump out. Yeah.
but if you get me, like I will I will praise you if you scare me. So like, guys, if anybody ever sees me through any of the haunts, and if you recognize my face or anything, if you guys can scare me, like literally you will get praised by me, because it is hard to kind of scare me. But there was I always go through mazes because I love the atmosphere. I love seeing how much attention to detail. I'm very big on attention to detail. I'm going through the maze and I'm like, this is absolutely beautiful. Not only the scare actors and everything that builds that ambiance, but I absolutely love walking through mazes and seeing like how immersive that they can make you feel. And that's the thing that I absolutely love. And so like it's one of those things that it's like I'm looking around the entire room because I'm like, I'm enjoying the atmosphere and I'm enjoying the aesthetics and being immersed and stuff like that. And then when the scare actors are right there, it's like, that adds to it and I love it.
It all has to be cohesive, like the sound, the lighting, the sets, the props, the actors. Like as long as you know as an actor where you fit in the ambiance of it and try not to take away from it in any way, like the scares will just happen because like people are walking through like us, like we'll appreciate it. I'm totally with you 100%. I look for the details. I love walking through it. The ambiance just fills me, like my spooky.
But I know a lot of scare actors, they get discouraged. It's like, oh, I didn't get that scare. It's like, no, like you are wonderful. You're doing like everything that you should be doing.
You'll still be appreciated by most.
Yes.
Also, don't take it personally if someone doesn't look scared, because one of the most common reactions to being scared is acting like you're not scared. So it is possible you got the scare, but it's not a big reaction, so don't take it too personally. And if you didn't scare someone, that's fine. Leave it to someone else. You tried.
Yeah.
Like people get scared with different things. So
yeah. One thing that I've learned from the East Coast that I brought to the West Coast, like as myself, is what they say. I don't know how they actually say it in the West Coast just yet. Like I know they have a different version of it, but boo and skadoo. So get your scare and get out.
Well, that's it. Actually, it's scare and get out.
Scare and get out. So in the East Coast or in Universal Orlando, we say boo and skadoo.
I
so
love
like
that so much more.
like get your scare and get out. Like you do your job and then you get out. And it's just one of those
that's
things.
also partly for protecting you too, because you don't know if the person has fight or flight and they could punch you. So if you like scare and get out, you get the distance in case they want to throw a punch, they might actually miss you. So it's a lot of reasons. Jenny, hi! I cuss in Spanish when I get scared. I love that. I make up swear words sometimes. I'll be like, oh, Chaka Khan, like references to things that no one knows. I do swear. I am definitely a cusser when I get scared.
Justin, I remember you going through my maze last year. I tried so hard to scare you.
Then
be sure to message me, either Facebook or Instagram or anything, guys. If you ever, which I forgot to plug this in at the beginning. If you guys want to come and follow me, I am a Twitch streamer. I do stream on Twitch. It's Shadow. It's SHAAD 0. That is a 0 and then E. But if you guys want to follow me, that's the tagline for all of my social media.
And I have it in the
Instagram and everything.
In the video too. So if you forget it, just go to the description and definitely follow him on Twitch.
I'm a big Dead by Daylight streamer. If you guys
I would love to play with you sometime
games.
for Dead by Daylight. I haven't played, so I'm a noob, so I apologize ahead of time. But I've been playing a lot of Phasmophobia lately.
Yeah, I play Phasmo.
And that's when I realized, I swear when I get scared. And I don't, like when I get scared at a haunt, it's different because like I'm really allowing myself to get scared. It is more fun for me because I know like in that environment, like nothing's really going to touch me. Nothing's going to hurt me, whatever. I full on went through a door in Ghostbusters, and I feel so bad about that. Like, it was the first scare, and I go through Ghostbusters with my boyfriend, and it was just like something popped out at me. I don't know what, but when I allow myself to get scared, I get scared big time, and then I jump back, and I bust through a door to the backstage area, and I'm like,
it's like, oh, sorry.
Hi. Like, don't worry, I am also Scareactor. I am not just guest. I know what's back there, so don't worry, I'm good.
Noelle, we need to play Phasmophobia together.
Yes.
Literally, you would have so much fun with me because I'm literally one of those ones I'm just like, I go and twerk for the ghost. And I'm so silly in the game. I'm a kleptomaniac, so I'll go into the houses and I'll start stealing like people's hats. And I'll bring them into the truck. And like literally I'm such a hoot when it comes to playing Phasmophobia. So I play the game so much
if the
though.
ghost gets me. I will get scared sometimes, but ultimately I'm just there to have a good time with my friends. But my friends get so scared and they take it so seriously, and I love that because of course I am trying to get the objectives too, and I'm trying not to die. But one of my go-to strategies of like dealing with fear in horror games are different. So to go back on it, in a hunt, I know I'm safe. In a horror game, it's different because I feel like I'm in it and I can die in the game and I don't want to. So it like scares me so much more. So it's more of a legitimate fear. And going through Phasmophobia and Amnesia and like all those scary games.
Oh God, Amnesia.
I haven't I've only gotten to the part with the water and the creature in it. So I have not gotten very far in the game at all and I'm already freaking out. But I realized one of my coping mechanisms for being scared in video games is to grab random stuff and toss it across the room. So I'd be like, this is scary. What's over here? This looks good. Chuck.
Do you have like a soft ball or something like that, like a stuffed animal you could just like throw?
Just in real life, chuck? No, it's only in the game. In the game, I will find anything that I can grab and I will chuck it in the game.
Okay.
Across the room. And I actually scared myself doing that in Amnesia because I was like tossing all these books from the bookshelf, just like, this looks interesting, chuck. And I don't know why I do this. This is just how I deal with fear, I guess. And I grabbed a statue, and when I picked it up, it made a clank noise, and I dropped it, and it made a second clank noise, and I'm just like, nope. I did that to myself. Oops.
You would have so much fun in Dead by Daylight. There's moments that it's like, after a while, you get used to like, it's not really as scary. The really scary ones are like Ghostface and Michael Myers when they're hidden and out of nowhere he just pops around the corner and he's like right there. But
I would get so scared.
Those ones get me.
I have fun playing scary games, but I am such a wimp, so you will hear me scared, which is part of the fun. Like, people love to see people get scared. So I am all for it. So I stream on Twitch Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. But if we ever want to stream a different night that I'm not interviewing scare actors, let me know.
Also, if anybody that is in the chat, I see Jake and I see Dark and I see Lottie and all of them that come from my Twitch family. Go follow this wonderful human being right here. Charge and die.
Charge_and_die. And the reason you told the origin of your name, I'll just say the origin of my name. It's not a fun story. It's just when I started trying to be on social media, I wanted to do Let's Plays because I love video games. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have the name be related to my gameplay, which is I get bored, I charge in, and then I die.
So you're like a Leroy Jenkins.
Very
okay.
much so. And that's
Leroy Jenkins, charge and die.
Yeah, I run it and I die. And it annoyed the hell out of my brother growing up because we used to play like Diablo or something like that. And Diablo. He's the one, I credit him for starting my love of video games because he would not have enough people to play with him. And he's like, hey, little sister, come play with me. I'm like, oh, I'm 5, but okay. So we would play games together, and he's a very like strategic, let's play by the rules, let's get this done, I want to succeed in this game. Me, I have no idea what's going on. I just want to kill stuff. I want something to happen. So there'd be like a bunch of skeletons or I don't know, some enemy, and we would be at a distance, and he has magic, so he's a magic user. I'm usually like the barbarian type. So he's like, you stay here, I'm going to go in, and from a distance, I'm going to fireball a bunch of them, whittle them down a bit, and then we could go in and kill the rest. I'm like, okay, sounds like a plan. 3, 2, 1. I'm bored! I go and die and send us both back ways. And he's like, Noelle, stop! So
my God.
That's where the name comes from, is like.
So you're going to be that person in Dead by Daylight that goes and finds the killer first.
Most likely, yeah. I'm not excited.
You're gonna be the bait. You're gonna be the bait. You're gonna be like Shaggy and Scooby.
Yes, I will. Be like, Noelle, you want to go? Yeah, okay, at least it's something. And oh, guys, I found the killer and now I'm dead. You're welcome.
No, you're gonna be the one that finds the killer and then sandbags everybody else. Like, hey guys, I found the killer. He's chasing me, and then you bring him to all of us.
Guys, look, he's right here. Hello.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Oh, no, I've mellowed out over the years and with my gameplay. I think it was just some coping mechanism, like the whole, like, chucking things across the room when I'm scared thing. It was more like, I'm bored and I want to die. Woohoo, ha, life. But no, I've mellowed out over the years, so I can do a strategy every once in a while, but sometimes it's just more fun to see me die, so I'm going to charge it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best, but if I die, whatever. I'll just be sent back a little ways. Whatever. But yes, I do want to play with you sometime, so hit me up. I don't know. When do you stream? Do you have a regular stream schedule?
I don't have a regular stream schedule. I do have a Discord that every Sunday night I always update my schedule of the week of. And I always update my schedule on my Twitch channel. So there's that schedule link that, like, if you go to the Twitch channel and you click on schedule, I always update that. So I don't have a regular.
I'll always change it last minute though. I'll say like, oh, I'm playing Emily Wants to Play. Oh, psych! I'm playing like Fall Guys or something because I can't deal with the anxiety of being scared today, guys. Sorry.
Well, it's one of those things that, like, you don't even have to, you can kind of. Yeah. You don't have to commit to your game. It's your channel, like it's one of those things that but I'll also finish the story of my name. The reason why it's spelled Shaaadoe. So it's Sha and Doe. So it's what's funny is that Sha actually derived from like the spelling of it was because my name has two N's in it for Justin, so it's two A's. Oh. So it's Shaa. Now the reason why it's Sha and then it's supposed to be there's like a space and then Doe. Doe is the surname. I used to play a lot of Elder Scrolls Online. I love Skyrim and everything. I actually came across a Khajiit that had the last name Doe. Like, it had a first name and then last name was Doe, and I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, Shadow. I love that spelling, so that's how the spelling came to be.
And the 0 instead of the O is.
So I'm hoping that when and if the day that I do become partner, I can actually change that to just an O. Like, I don't actually know anybody that actually has this name, but it says that the name is taken, but I don't think they actually stream on it. They just have it.
Okay.
So I think
when known when you're like verified or something, then you could snatch it.
I think I can snatch that name. So
yeah. I'm concerned. Let me ask you, should I change the die in my name to like an exclamation point instead of an I? Because I don't want people thinking like I'm telling people to die.
Or you can do DYE. I don't know if you can do exclamation mark. I don't think you can do an exclamation point.
Yeah, it's too special. But yeah, like the reason I was named it, like I told you, is like I get bored, I charge and die. And I was not expecting to have any sort of following at all ever in the world. But now that I have like just a tiny bit, I kind of established my brand now, and I don't want to change the whole name, but I don't want people thinking like I'm going to get flagged for having the word die in my name.
You're not going to get flagged. But if you do plan to change your name in the future, like if you do, you can do that on Twitch. You just have a 2-month. You have to wait 2 months before you can change it again.
Right. Oh, Jake, thank you for following on Twitch. I don't know if that was for me. I hope
So Jake is one of my good friends. He's been with me since day one, since I started on Twitch, and he's one of my best mods on Twitch. So yeah.
Thank you, Jake. That's so nice. William goes, I never heard of the story of your name. Ha ha ha. Yeah. There's always a story with someone's name, even if it's as boring as someone used to call me that. I don't know. Like my boyfriend, his username in a lot of things is Fatman47. It's a PH instead of an F. And I asked him, why Fatman47? I thought it was because like one of his favorite swing bands is called Fat Cat or something, like with the PH too. And I was like, does it have to do with that? And he's like, no, my friend told me once that he had a dream that he was playing with me on Xbox, and like he saw that my username was Fatman47, so I just made it come true.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, that's still a cool story. It still works.
That is one of my favorite things to ask anytime that somebody comes into my stream. I always ask like, Like what is the original story, or what is the story of your username? What is like why? And some people don't really have a story, they just made up something. Some people actually like use a real name. Some people actually have stories about them, and I love them. Like I love learning about those names.
Yeah, because no matter what, the username is so personal to them. So
Yeah.
it's always a good question to ask because you might get a really interesting story out of it. Jake says, it's not every day you hear stories like that of how people got the username they made, because sometimes I just hear people saying, I mean, I don't know, I just came up with it. Haha, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But your name, Justin, yours comes with a really cool story because it comes with a scare character that you made up. And like, that's so cool to me. So we're running out of time, but do you have any advice for new scarers?
Pace yourself. Find your niche. You will find your niche. You'll find when to also you'll find when to scare and when not to scare. And then also don't be afraid to let other people get the scares. Always give other people a chance.
Yeah.
Always give other people a chance.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's great advice. Thank you so much. Any other fun stories you want to share before we call it a night?
Nope. If you guys want to catch me over on Twitch, I'll be streaming some Dead by Daylight. Also, come and check out LA Haunted Hayride over in San Dimas. If you guys are on the West Coast, definitely come and support those that are in the LA area that come together to keep Halloween alive. We would love the support and the love from you guys.
So. That's awesome. Any other social media plugs? Any promos?
I'm going to be doing a brunch stream. I'm going to be doing so I'll be doing brunch and pumpkin carving. There's a lovely pumpkin right behind me that I'm going to be carving on stream on Sunday. So if you guys want to come and hang out on brunch time, I'm also going to be doing special effects makeup that I'm going to have a white claw can impaled in my head. I don't know what day I'm going to actually do that, but it's going to be before Halloween. So
you got to have a claw mark on your face too, though.
So we're gonna have this lovely white claw just like impaled, and yeah, I mean I could probably do that too. So
I love that. That's awesome. Jenny goes, what character do you play? I was there last weekend and had the best time ever. Y'all killed it. For Haunted Hayride.
I'm not allowed to say, but I'm glad you came. Like it's one of those things that I'm like I can't give away that information, but I'm so happy that you came and
yeah. She goes, that's okay, I figured. Yeah. Aww.
Thank you.
Yeah, she was telling me about it. I saw her the other day and she was saying like how much fun she had going there, and
it's cute, and it's something that we're able to work around what we have to work around, you know. But it's one of those things that we can't really give that too much information. Just come on by, come and enjoy it, and come and support your fellow family. And what's really cool, I really love it, is that Monsters Unite. It's not just Universal. It's people from Not Scary. It's people from Six Flags, from Queen Mary, from Universal, and people that are also brand new to haunts. So it's literally like Monsters Unite. It's people from all over haunts of Southern California that come together. So
I want to go through. I'm too paranoid about the mess, which is why I'm not scaring this year. I'm still learning about all the haunts in the area. There's so many in LA. So I'm like kind of married to Halloween Horror Nights. Like I really love it. I'm scared of branching out because I don't want them to think like I'm cheating on them or something, which I don't think I would, but
yeah, no. This is literally one of those things of like, this is probably just a one-time thing. Well, for me personally, but this is like a one-time thing, and then I want to go back home. Like
Yeah, that's a lot of people that I'm talking to with too. Like a lot of people are saying either they are scaring at another haunt this year, or they're just taking the year off because they really want Universal again. I'm moving down to the Anaheim area, so I'm like considering maybe doing Knots, you know, getting creative with a character and being able to speak again, or maybe do the drive and go up to Halloween Horror Nights because I know I would not be the only one doing that drive. Jenny goes, field trip to the 17th door. Is that another haunt?
I think so.
I've heard the name around, but it's like I don't know if
I know that they're doing like the Stranger Things. There's another haunt that I think a friend of mine is working, but I don't know what it's called. But I think that's about it.
Okay. Jake goes, it's crazy how some people find out if you were in a specific event as a character and they find you on streams, but you can't say, leaves the mystery a bit, but it's also kind of cute, in my opinion. Haha. Yeah.
Character integrity.
Character integrity. I never say what I am. I'll tell a specific person, like, if you see this character, say hi, wink, 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 but I won't say, like, I'm this character.
I always say I'm friends with.
That's a Disney thing too, right?
Yeah. It's a Disney thing. One of my best friends, you know.
I did do that in children's theater too, because they were like, weren't you this character in this show? And I would be like, no, but I'm friends with that character from that show, and I think they're very talented, you know, and stuff like that. But I will never say what I was until after the haunt is completed and like several months go by, and it's like, oh, by the way, this was me, and then people are like, what? That was you?
Yeah.
When
we are allowed to, that's when things can kind of be said. I don't even really like to say much about like me in past haunts at Universal. Like I can tell you so much about stilts and stuff like that. But it's one of those things of like I still don't feel comfortable about saying like, you know, what I did, because me personally, I like keeping the magic alive. You know, you never know. You never know where I was or who I was, and you never will know. It's like that mystery. Like, you know, I love that. Like that's one of those things of like I love when people don't know what I used to do. So
yeah. Dark goes, oh, 17th door is crazy. It's one of those intense haunts. Okay.
Oh.
Good to know. And Jenny, that's so precious. I love it. Aw. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Justin/Shadow. Please follow him on Twitch if you don't do so already. Also Instagram, all those things. I have it in the description of this video. And he's a very talented performer. Oh, that's so cool.
It's my logo. Oh, Rainbow Wolf.
Oh, that's so
yeah,
cool.
If you guys come and join my Twitch family, it's the Wolf Pack.
Oh, nice. People call me Mama Wolf.
Mama Wolf. Oh, yeah.
Wolf.
I heard that you like when you I watched one of your videos and you opened up with the Wolf Pack and stuff like that. I was like my Twitch family or my Twitch channel is the Wolf Pack.
I swear to God, I had no idea that you call your Twitch family the Wolf Pack. I did not steal it. That came from Wolf Pack was because I was one of 4 wolves in the trick or treat scare zone, so we were the Wolf Pack.
Okay.
And then for my Scareactor Stories,
that's so cute. I love that.
I don't know if you know Kelly, one of the chainsaws. Kelly, probably not. Big Viking guy, redhead. He's so awesome. But he was in our zone. He was one of the dolls in the zone, the voodoo dolls with the chainsaw. And the wolf girls, all 4 of us, would run up to him. I don't know why specifically him, but I don't know how this started, but it started and it's still a thing. We would run up to him and go, Kelly, 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 like little dogs. And he'd be like, hello, girls, like pat us on the head. We're like, okay, bye. Just run away. We were the wolf.
He just seems like that. He just seems like a really good like person to give a hug, right? Just like a person just to get.
Super intimidating looking, and you do not want to piss him off. But if he likes you, it's like, you're my friend, you know. I like
That's adorable.
You. And I got him for a Secret Satan, so I sew things, right? So I made him a doll version of his voodoo doll costume and gave that to him that year. And it was like, I wish I could afford to give you something better, but here's what I can do, and I hope you like it. And he liked it, or at least he acted like he liked it, and that was enough for me. So thank you, Kelly. I'm glad. I hope you like it. But it was so nice, and, you know, you make so many friends scaring. But, yeah, that was the origin of that wolf pack that you were talking about. And I'm called Mama Wolf on TikTok sometimes. People call me that because I tell a lot of stories from when I was a wolf that year because I had free reign in the scare zone, which I don't typically get. And I was that character for the whole year. So, of course, I'm going to get a lot of stories in that one character. I have a lot of stories from other characters, but that was like other haunts where I was a different character every day. So anything can happen. But I would adopt kids where if they were too scared or seemed scared, I wanted to help them be less scared. So I would interact with them, make them howl with me, give them fist bump. Once they trusted me, I would kind of scare the parents off for a while or the guardian off, and then have the kid follow me around in my zone for a while, and we would scare off the other scare actors. Because remember, the zombie kids were scared of the wolves. So I would go up to a zombie kid, pretend to scare it away, and have the kid scare with me.
Okay, I have a quick question before you end. I have a quick question for you. Do you remember your first scare?
Ever? Ooh, good question. Well, my first haunt ever was Haunted Hornet in Alameda, California with Scareco. My first scare, I'm trying to remember where I was put that first day. I think that first day, yes, I do remember. Okay, so in Alameda, there's the USS Hornet, which is an old warcraft carrier ship that has been repurposed into a museum. So Scareco came in. On the upper level, they built a maze, and in the lower level, we were just like assigned rooms and characters and like used the creepy ambiance of the ship to scare. So I was given that first room that people had to go down this really narrow set of stairs or ladder or something to go down, and I was that first window. And I had this huge room, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I would listen in, and whenever I heard people coming down the stairs, it was complete silence. There was no music or anything down there. So it was complete silence. Everything echoed. And I had a creaky sink in my room. And it wouldn't turn on the water. There was no water there. So I would just like flick around the faucet and it would create this like creaky sound. And once they got close enough, I would pop out of the window and scare them off. But my first scare ever wasn't really a scare from me. This woman heard the creakiness in my room, and then when she got to the bottom, she's like, "Oh no!" And I stopped the creakiness to like run over to scare her. Before I could even scare her, she was already sprinting through, going, "Nope." I was like, reset for next one, I guess.
It's like, I guess. I did Bayou of Blood in Orlando. I was just a swing. And it was the one that had the feather.
Oh, okay.
So it was really funny because this is my first time ever scaring. Literally another scare actor scared the crap out of me. Like we were going and then out of nowhere like we ran into each other and I was just like like scared me. But I remember I had the feather and I had a voodoo doll, and I'm like, mind you, I don't know anything. I don't know how to really scare at this time because this is my first time doing this stuff and everything. And I'm like,
really
I don't.
Intimidating your first time for sure.
It really was. So I had this voodoo doll, and I'm like talking to this voodoo doll in my hand, and I'm just like, my precious. People are like, what is wrong with this guy? And I was like, like stay away from me.
I love that.
I was like, I don't know what to do with this character, and yeah, it was fun, but I was just like, I don't know what to really do. They painted a skull on my face, and I was just like, yeah, okay, cool, this is me.
Just roll with it. You'll make it work.
So
yeah, I learned the hard way that same year scaring. Like everything was new because we had a different room every night, a different character every night, and it was never a specific character. It was just like, here's some makeup, you're a zombie. Here's some makeup, you're a clown, and it was airbrushed on. And so I got this room in the maze, and it was the first room of the maze. And I told a story about like the pews and stuff, on my TikTok, but, I was working with, this guy, and he was very tall, and he had this like demon latex mask on, and he would go, it was like you walk into the room, there are a bunch of pews for some reason, but it's meant to be an office space. And then there's like a desk with a typewriter on it. And then there was me, the secretary. And then you go around the corner and there's a drop down window. So you pull the peg out from underneath and it drops down and makes a noise, and then the actor pops out. So that's where he was. And we had this idea of like, ooh, we're both actors, so let's create a scene for the whole maze that they follow, and it'll be the storyline, it'll be great. So the idea was I would be typing, I see them come into my room, and I go, oh no, there's more, you all are really late, he's so angry with you, you have to go through, don't let him catch you, or something, and I come up with this spiel. And then he would jump out of the window and go like, you're late, and it would be this whole thing. I learned the hard way that people don't really stop and listen, and they don't care about what you say. They just want to get scared. So I switched it up, and I didn't tell him I was going to switch it up. I really need to communicate with my partners. It's okay. I'm learning this right now as I'm saying this. I'm sorry to everyone I worked with.
You can add that to that list. Just add it to that list.
Just my bucket list of the year: make someone pee their pants, make someone drop, actually communicate with my partner effectively. Check. Don't have to do that all year now. But yeah, I would hide a dummy, like we had a spare dummy. So I'd put the dummy underneath one of the pews that was really obvious, and they would see the hand go like, oh, someone's hiding under there. But I was actually hiding on the other side in another pew, and I would jump out from under that and scare everyone to go in the direction of the drop-down window. And then they would usually run through, and the guy was really poor timed with it. So he would like do it as their backs were to him and be like, yeah, great, okay, bye. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's like, okay, bye.
I'm sorry everyone keeps running away from me. I'm just trying to do my job, sir. Maybe you should be quicker on the drop window. Like, if you hear a scream, drop it then. They're going to run through. But I did make someone pee their pants at that drop window. That was really cool.
Yes, we love the good old pee.
Like, so this, and she was a Karen big time, so it was an extra win.
Oh,
she was going through and she was telling her friends, like, nothing ever scares me. These guys suck. Like, I want my money back, blah, 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 blah. She gets to because keep in mind, like, they have already gone down to the bottom deck, went through all that, then up, and then through the maze. So even though I was the first room of the maze, they had already gone through half of the haunt. So I was in that little drop-down window area, and the other person in that secretary role that day did not scare her effectively, apparently, and she was like, oh my god, they need to try harder, blah, 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 blah. I dropped down the drop window, and she's like, oh, whatever, that didn't scare me. I go through, like, to get behind that window, there's, like, this little nook area you have to go into where the angle that the people are walking, they wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
So I did the drop window, and I was like, and then I pop out of that little entryway. So I got a double scare on her, and that's when she peed her pants. She's like, I didn't know you were there! I'm like,
it's like, yeah, you can't get your money back now.
And because I could talk in that hunt, I was like, you said to try harder. I did.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Bye.
Oh, Noelle, thank you so much for having me on here.
Thank you for being here. You're so awesome. It was great to talk with you. Like, actually just like one-on-one talk. We never really got to do that. But let me know whenever you're streaming. I'll let you know when I'm streaming, and maybe we could play some Dead by Daylight together or Phasmophobia. Try and get that going. If you guys are interested in seeing scare actors get scared, I do Scare Actor Plays Horror on my Twitch streams where I play a bunch of horror. Sometimes my anxiety is like, nope, not today, and I'll play something more mindless like Among Us with my friends. So if you're interested in any of that, follow me on Twitch. It's charge_and_die. Also on TikTok and Instagram and all those things. It's really easy to find me. Also follow Justin, Shadow, SHAA_D0.
SHAAD03. It's all together.
Okay, it's all together, and it's also in the description below. So go by that and follow him on all the things. He's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Justin.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone in the live. It was really nice chatting with you all. Thank you for being here. And I will be interviewing more people on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern. So be there for that. Don't miss that either. But yeah, have a good night, everybody.
Ciao.
Bye.